Oh man, that was a quick one. I'll have to show that again.
Wait, you fucking daddy little bitch!
Now, what I like about that clip, welcome to Brothers and Booze. We have Doug and we have our special guest host Renee tonight. I'm excited about that, but we have to comment on that video real quick. I don't know if you heard, he yelled, "You gay old bitch." So it was like a guy yelling.
Wait, you fucking daddy little bitch!
And then instant karma got you. And that's what I liked about it. Unfortunately, those people that were crashing the car didn't had to deal with that idiot later. And hopefully nobody was hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry. I found that funny that the instant karma just like slapped you. Like sometimes we have to wait so long for karma to happen for, sometimes, if you know what I mean. So that clip kind of capitalized it. Again, unfortunately, those people have gotten into an accident. Not the people who, you know what I mean, not the gay people, or not the, well, Doug. Doug, you have a comment, sir, so you can get me out of this slip here.
No, it's one of those things like you feel bad for laughing, but not really all at the same. Like it's just this weird thing where it's
right,
like, and then you're like, shit, those people have to deal with that knucklehead.
Yeah. Right. I don't feel bad for the knucklehead. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
What do
and
we
insurance
have?
will say it's his fault, so that's good.
Yeah. Right. And 2 weeks ago we had our buddy from Utah, Mr. Kinnear. Remember?
Kinnear,
remember we had that racist guy at the at the school board meeting, and he's like, "Fuck that guy." Like, right. That's exactly correct.
They were like, "Yep."
So Doug, what are you I'm having I just broke open a nice light City Lights Mexican lager.
Ooh.
You know what the deal is with these bad boys.
Nice.
And I would say, because we're going to get on some Thanksgiving chats tonight, I would say a Mexican lager is a great pairing with anything you kind of bring to the Thanksgiving table. We're going to have Jeff here tell us about what we need to have at our table and all that. Well, not need, but maybe need. But beer wise, it's a great holiday because you could bring anything, I believe, and really have a good time. But this is for those folks that don't really like craft beer, and they're like, "Give me a Bud Light." Those folks. They're stuck in their ways, and that's great. No judging here, Doug. We already said this. We judge you on food here, Renee. We don't judge on beer. So we're really, really specific here. We will shame you off the stream if you don't eat what we like, but not drinking. So anyway, this is a nice light one. If y'all see Mexican lagers while you're out there grabbing your beer for the week, try one. What you got, Doug?
I'm gonna grab this one that you and I were at this brewery together. Gingerbread Stout from Baltimore's Guinness Brewery at the Open Gate Brewery down in Baltimore. So got the nice gingerbready smell.
Oh yeah. What's up, Renee? Also, hi. We're second, of course, and that's fine.
As it should be.
Right, exactly.
Oh, I see who it is. I had to look I had to look on my other screen to see who was talking. Hi.
For some reason, or not some reason, StreamYard does not. If you're commenting from the group, you have to go through some meta is called now, right?
Yeah.
Or Facebook things in order to meta, right? Is that what it's called? Or can I call it meta or whatever? Anyway,
whatever.
Doug, what do you have? We should have went to Renee first, but that was my bad.
I'll go quick. This is got all the earmarks on the nose for the earmarks on the nose. That was pretty good, Doug. Clever.
We're starting off great today.
I tell you, man. Wow.
This is why we have Renee here to clean it all up for us. So great.
No pressure.
What's up, Doug? You're right.
Really good, really weirdly crisp for a stout. But definitely this is like a Christmassy kind of beer for sure. Like got all the kind of Christmas ale kind of flavors to them. So maybe not a Thanksgiving beer. Maybe it is. Gingerbread I always associate with Christmas. I don't know if that's how you both feel. For me, that's a Christmas kind of flavor, but really good. But just and it does. It's supposed it's the ABV I think was 8. I can't.
Damn.
So
That
the
sounds
ABV, yeah, I don't see it on there, but it doesn't drink very heavy. It drinks much lighter than that, like around a 5, 6. So, so this is a very drinkable, but like I said, it is really good. But I think more for Christmas. How about you, Renee? What's in your glass?
It doesn't. Hold on, real quick. I'm sorry, Renee. It doesn't drink, or it doesn't drink like a winter warmer, Doug.
It's in that line, but the more gingerbready flavors, like you know, what I mean, it almost has a little bit more dessert taste to it. Although it's not a dessert beer, not that far, but it's more of that than a winter warmer, but close.
Gotcha. Okay, Renee, I'm sorry about that.
Oh, it's okay. So I'm not drinking out of a glass because I am not that classy.
Again, we don't judge.
But what I saved is this 666 ABV, and it's actually Doug sent me this. So we're going to Doug took us to Christmas. I'm taking us to Halloween.
All
and
right.
you know, Greg, you're having Thanksgiving in Mexico, so we're all doing a thing. I've never it's a hoppy dark ale. I've never had this before, so hopefully I like it, or I have a backup beer.
That sounds really good.
Oh yeah, that's really nice. It's super smooth. I'm not like a beer connoisseur like you guys. I can't like describe like all that stuff, but it's got a really nice, like rich, warm, fun taste to it. Kind of a little bit of coffee in it. I love it. Thank you, Doug.
Yeah. Like we were talking in pre-production about how you were worried about the hoppiness, and I said it's just like kind of like an accent to it. It's not really like it's not even like, you know how, Greg, when you get to a hazy IPA, it's even less hoppy than that. But because of the dark ale, it like blends really nice with it. I mean, that's what I thought anyway.
Yeah, I would agree that I don't know, it's very unique in the way that it hits the mouth, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So
holiday themed beers for the win.
Yeah,
they're fun. They absolutely are. All right, so
they get a lot of shit though. They get a lot of shit sometimes. I think that's usually just because they're out early,
or some of them are just bad.
True.
That's fair.
Right. So JHG says Open Gate is legit. That was the beer that Doug and I, and one of the few places that Doug and I have visited together, is that we had a really good time there. Their beers are on tap or even better than some of their bottle stuff. Absolutely
agreed.
But that kind of goes across the board with really most breweries. If you're doing it right brewery wise, I believe that should be the case. What JSG just said there. You know what I mean? You should be able to roll on there. The locals, again, the locals should get, and the people who support the brewery should get those benefits. It's nice if I can, you know, y'all can send me stuff, and people do. But ultimately, though, you know what I mean? If you support the brewery, you should have the first crack at those wonderful house beers and all that. So cheers to that. All right.
Yeah.
So awkward silence. Yeah, wonderful.
Again, so, we are just on top of it today, guys. This has been great.
Right. All right. So we're gonna bring on our guest because he is not he can handle awkward silence, but when he's around, there will be no awkward silence. So without further ado, everybody knows Jeffrey. We're gonna bring him back on.
I love y'all. I miss you guys, every one of you. And Renee, I know this is the first time I'm getting to meet you. It was great to get to know you a little bit behind stage. But man, God, I'm sitting back watching y'all, and I'm like, I can't wait till they bring me on.
Yeah, and we couldn't wait either.
I don't care about your awkward silence. I had this
it was all awkward.
I don't even care about that. I don't even care about that.
Well, Jeff, what about this stuff?
Wait. First of all, like, you need to warn somebody about that. You just like, I'm sitting there backstage thinking my computer's all fucked up and went to YouTube, and I'm like, wait, did the show start? What the fuck is this? Why am I watching this anti-queer shit? My jaw just dropped, and I was
Right.
like, "Yeah, he got hit by a car. Good,
Right.
good, you little fucker."
Right. You're
Good.
right.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I felt
Right.
like I don't know, Doug. You
I,
sort of hit it, and I had to bring myself back to a moment like with some. Oh, not to get all geeky, but it was like a Lord of the Rings reference, like, who am I to deal out death and judgment? So I had to bring myself back a little bit because it's like, but I'll tell you, it felt good watching it, oddly enough.
Mm.
right. And
Yeah.
in a day like this, so Jeff, what do you have in your glass? We know you're not a beer drinker, but maybe you are.
No, just iced tea.
Iced tea.
Just iced tea.
Now, the iced tea or sweet tea or what?
I was
It
gonna
is
say,
honestly, it's purposefully and severely diluted Crystal Light iced tea.
oh, okay.
That's what it is. Instead of the normal ratio, it's like 4 parts water to the normal ratio. So
Right. Tea is a big category. I'm not really into it, but it
I
can
love
be
tea.
it can be as vast as crazy as beer or any other
It is,
beverage at this
but I
point.
wouldn't categorize Crystal Light into that category, by the way. Let's
Oh,
just be
okay.
very clear. I would have my reputation on the line if I were to ever put Crystal Light on the lines of my Lapsang Souchong tea or something like that. So
Right.
yeah,
All
see
right.
how you're into beer? That's how I am
It's
into
like
tea.
near tea.
Right.
Yeah,
You got
like
near beer. There's near tea.
there's near tea. I love that.
Right.
It's
Renee?
awesome.
And so y'all can explain this to me. First of all, how do you say that?
Schadenfreude.
Schadenfreude.
But
Okay.
ask the editor. And Renee's an editor. You would know.
He's correct. It's well, as far as I know. I mean, I don't speak like.
And explain that again.
Yeah,
Explain the concept of that.
When you feel joy at seeing someone else's suffering.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the big perfect way to explain it.
Right. But he deserved that. He deserved that. Because
Right.
again, what he said before, in my opinion, he deserved it. Damn it.
I feel like
Sorry.
I don't know how it's used in Germany because I'm again I've never been to Germany and I don't speak fluent German, but I feel like when you hear someone saying Schadenfreude in the US, it's usually like acknowledging that it's kind of okay to feel a little bit of joy at it because the person deserved it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I agree. Whoever this Lauren Yee is, yeah, girl. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yep. Crystal Light like Coors and PBRT.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
Just like, God damn it.
If you don't believe in Crystal Light, do you not believe in yourself?
Oh my gosh. Oh, Daniel. That's awesome.
Well, Jeff, thank you
awesome.
for coming again on this stream and imparting your I just really want to jump into what you talk about. In my opinion, one of the many things one of the many things you talk about great is food. And we are in Thanksgiving is probably the biggest foodie holiday, right? It's all centered around it. I mean, we make food to center around every holiday, so let's not even
Ditto.
Right, but really though, Thanksgiving is that full table of food. Like it is supposed to be, just a smorgasbord. I don't even know really where to start with you. I'll start and let the gang jump in. But do you have any tips as far as just quick tips about the stress behind it? If you're hosting or if you're bringing food.
Okay, so here are some really cool things to think about, because it is very stressful, and not everybody thinks like a chef or feels organized enough in the kitchen, or they feel like that's a place where they feel the most disorganized, or even when they feel like they've got the best recipe, they still get overwhelmed by what's going on. So the first thing I do is ask for help and sort of figure out the things that you can do and the things that you maybe aren't the most comfortable, and don't be afraid to get other people involved. Right now, that my kids are at an older age, they're going to be involved in all the prep work, even if it's just peeling some potatoes or peeling onions, right? There are simple things. So if you have people coming over, have them bring a side dish, right? Maybe it's not the side dish that you would have made, but give them that autonomy and have fun with it. This way you can introduce your family to something new. So that's the first thing. The second thing I'd say is if you are planning a turkey and it is deep frozen right now, please start thinking about taking it out tonight or tomorrow and defrosting it under refrigeration. Be safe. That's the food scientist in me. You don't want to be taking it out the night before and leaving it out on the counter. It's not going to work, and you put your family at risk. So take that big turkey out now, especially if it's 12 pounds or more. So that's the second thing. But write it down. That's actually the third thing. And that's something that we do as a family almost every week is we write down our meals. And when you write down what you're going to do for Thanksgiving, you can start to organize your thoughts, even when you're very disorganized in the kitchen or feel overwhelmed. So that's the last thing I would do. Write it down. Write down what you want to do and sort of just your steps, like what you think you need to do first, second, or third. Right. This way you can then plan it out, and you don't have to. I don't know. It doesn't all have to get done that day. Things can get done the day before, right? Certain desserts or even stuffing. So yeah, there are a lot of things that you can do. I hope that
Renee?
helps.
Yeah.
Great. No, it should help somebody. Renee, you have a follow-up?
So we very rarely host Thanksgiving because it's like my mom's holiday. So my stresses are all around travel, making sure like the dog comes with us. So we have to have like her little doggy sedatives, and the cats stay home. So we have to make sure that the cat sitter has everything they need. Like there's a lot of travel stuff. So my biggest recommendation for saving yourself hassle if you're traveling, if you're driving, rent a car, don't take your car. Because like there's all that stuff that comes with like taking your own car and fitting everything in just right. Like I'm renting a big SUV that'll fit like the whole family, the dog, and all of our stuff. And we don't have to like play Jenga or Tetris.
Yeah.
And planning ahead on that is planning like the best route, because unfortunately, we always have to drive on Wednesday because my husband's work schedule, which is the busiest travel day of the entire year. So we plan a travel route that lets us kind of go, like it's technically the long way, but we get there a lot earlier by going the long way. Because we go on the busiest highway in California on the busiest travel day of the year. So it's not great. And take breaks. Like take so many breaks.
Okay, but Renee, I just have to let you know you're the host. You're part of the host here. So now, while I love your answer is great. Do you have any questions for Jeff?
Any questions? Yeah. Okay. Here's a good question. I'm traveling.
Yep.
A long way. What's a good side dish or dessert or something that I could bring?
Sure. So there's actually So there are a couple of things that you can do. You can, it's Thanksgiving, so I'm going to put my what I would call my 5% fun zone on, right? So a really great dessert that travels is something like bread pudding. That's a nice decadent dessert that you can travel. Like it's easy to make, and it's also something that you can refrigerate. You can make it a couple of days before, pack it on ice in a cooler, and that'll keep for quite a few hours, even serve room temperature. Other things, if you want to bring something a little bit lighter, since a lot of the meals tend to be heavy, cut up fruit are really, really great things that you can snack with, or travel with, and not have to like feel. Sorry. Oh, Greg, you got to stop doing that to me. You catch me off guard when you have it. No, you're fine. Yes, beer travels very, very well. Just don't let it go skunky. No, right? Beer travels very well. Other desserts like that would travel well, pastries. Who doesn't like pastries? And on point this year are like cake pops. And what I'm seeing is in a lot of like the local Facebook groups, there are local bakers who are actually sending stuff out. They started their businesses during COVID. There's actually 2 or 3 local in our community right now that are like doing all their Thanksgiving orders. So like that's a really cool thing that travels really well. And the way they package them is just, they're super cute. So like go into like a local Facebook group and see if there's like a local merchant that's doing something cute like that. Because if you're traveling and you don't want to bake, or if that's something that stresses you out, it's a really great way to support the community and also, give back, and they travel well.
Awesome. Renee, you do this every year your mother is that's the hub for y'all.
Yeah. So last year we did Thanksgiving at home because no one was vaccinated.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this year everyone's vaccinated. Yeah.
All right, all right. And
I love hearing that.
is that Jeff? Is that how y'all? Real quick, is that how y'all operate too? And then Doug, y'all answer too. Like, do y'all usually go? So it sounds like Renee usually just goes on Thanksgiving. Do y'all usually host or do you go? I'm sorry, Jeff. Do you
So
usually
it
host?
really
Or?
it really depends, actually. One of the things that my husband and I committed to several years ago is that every other year we would be with his family, and on the opposite years we would be with my family. Due to a lot of different circumstances, I wouldn't say existential circumstances per se, years got changed and flipped and flopped, and then we had a death in the family a few years ago on his side, and that really threw a monkey wrench into things. And then the family moved, some to Florida, some to California, some to Pennsylvania. So it became harder to do the every other year. And now with COVID, this year will be the second year in a row that it's really just us nuclear. So I can't really say, do I travel or go?
Gotcha.
Because I don't really have a
Yeah,
tradition that way
yeah,
anymore. You're right. Unfortunately, this is our new normal.
Yeah.
So
Well, real quick, Thanksgiving to me is Christmas is one of those travel days too, where you're trying to hit a couple houses, or you know what I mean. There's always that back and forth about where you're gonna go. Whereas Thanksgiving for me, I always wanted it just to be one place, if that makes sense. You just get there, you spend the whole day there, but sometimes that takes acute planning, like Jeffrey says, with the family, depending on what's going on. Doug, what's your situation?
Well, ours is a bit different in that, so we're a blended family. So holidays are always
Moving
moving parts, a lot of moving parts. So, like for instance, this year, we are going tomorrow to drive to Ohio to my brother-in-law's house. So that's like an 8-hour drive. So it's why I'm bowing out a bit early tonight, so that we have to get up early to get going. But that's going to be my wife's part of the family. Almost all of them will be there. And we don't have all of our kids because it's split custody.
Right.
So, and then the following weekend we'll go down to my parents' house, and that will be Thanksgiving and Christmas combined. Like it's a different thing. And when you have blended families, you kind of got to figure out schedules are wonky, so that makes it a bit challenging sometimes. And
they're teenagers too.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah,
that plays a factor. Don't even front. Go on now.
It does. But I'm gonna say they all like hanging out with each of our families. So we're lucky, and they like hanging out with each other, which is not the case for most.
Well, this is what I'm right. That's what I was right. So you have a question for Jeffrey after you finish that. I'm sorry.
I just want to know: is there one thing you absolutely must have at Thanksgiving? One particular kind of food that you must have? Like everybody has that. You can kind of mix and match a lot of different things.
That's exactly how we designed our menu this year. Is each person, so my husband, my mother who lives with us, and me, we picked the one must have that we wanted. And so that's how we started planning our Thanksgiving. So
what's your must have? What's your must have, Jeffrey? Right. What did you?
Man.
Well, what was it?
What
did you say this year?
I had a really, really hard time making this decision, and I don't know if I should really be honest on air.
You better be.
Wow! This is very personal. Wow.
It is very personal. This was a really hard decision.
Wow.
This was a really hard decision.
So if you share your weird one, I'll share my weird one.
Yeah, it's not even that it's a weird one. It's that it's an emotional one. So for me, this is the first year where I'm sort of lucid enough where my since my dad has passed, and this was like this is your mom's holiday. This used to be my holiday. I would go out of my way to make everybody travel to me so that I could cook for everybody. And like I would try to host it. So every year I would be with either my family or his family, but I'd be the one that would be in control of cooking because it exudes love. Me cooking is just like how I get to share everything. So it was a big toss up between my biscuits, my buttermilk biscuits, and gravy, believe it or not. Like homemade, like real gravy. I know. Those are like
gravy's controversial on this stream. Remember, Doug?
It's controversial for one person and not anybody else. So let's be very clear about that. We have one person say they hated gravy. We were all, collectively, everybody's like, "What the fuck? Who is
We
that?"
gasped. It was like a gasp, like, like.
I must have missed that, so I'm feeling that first time shock right now. Like, what?
Right.
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 Oh, it's so
Like
awesome.
gravy, right? Gravy
was
yes.
like gravy for me is like it brings back a lot of memories and the way that I was trained to make sauces and stocks through school. Like my grandfather, may he rest in peace, used to call me like the sauce king and gravy master. And if I do say so myself, my turkey gravy is just it's great because it's homemade, like it's made from literal scratch. And most of what we do either way is always from scratch. But like Thanksgiving, I would always go like all out scratch. Like if I could have grown the wheat to grind for flour, I probably would have at some point. So,
and
I mean,
Jeff, that's big time praise. That's, in my opinion, that's big time praise to have your grandparents compliment something that you cook, because they've been through the, you know what I mean? Like they've eaten way more foods, everything old school, traditional, when food was great. Not that food isn't great now, but you know,
when food was,
you know what I'm saying,
and was homegrown. I know I talk about this all the time with my business partner. Back when food was homegrown, like there's a difference. There's a difference now, and there's also a cultural shift in food, but that's for another. That doesn't have to happen in today's conversation.
Okay, so what I do want to get to is that Renee said, Doug, that she wanted a weird one. So I want to hear. I want to hear that weird one. Let's go. Lauren wants to hear it. We're all ready for it.
Okay, so
put her on the spotlight and everything.
It's going to be controversial. I hope it isn't, but maybe you've never tried it before. So last year, like I said, we did it at home, and we're doing our shopping, and I'm like, all right, my husband's English, so Thanksgiving is like nothing to him except for what my family does, right? And I'm like, all right, so we need to get our pepperoncinis, our cream cheese, and our salami. And he's like, because my mom does this as an appetizer every year, and to me it is not Thanksgiving unless you take a little piece of salami, a little bit of cream cheese, pepperoncini in the middle, roll it up, put a toothpick in it, and
oh my God, that sounds amazing.
100 of those.
Can you shut up right now?
I'm actually lactose intolerant. So I'm
wait, why have I never heard of this? Where I have never heard of anything like this, and that sounds like a god food right now.
Renee, say it one more time, please.
Wait,
Renee,
are you kidding me? Salami?
Your good salami. Your good dry salami, like a generous layer of cream cheese, a pepperoncini in the middle. You roll it up, stick a toothpick in it.
Oh my goodness.
It looks cute. It's like 2 bites. I mean, it's one if you're ambitious. And I could eat like,
oh no, that's like one bite. 2 of them might be one bite too.
Right? Like I love it. Like I said, I became lactose intolerant like 3 or 4 years ago. I like that is the reason I have lactate pills, so that I can like stuff my face full of these.
I love it.
And I don't know what the name is. I don't know where my mom got this from. There was no Pinterest when this became what she made, like she just heard it somewhere or invented it. I don't know, but like,
what a great little bite. What a great little bite for an idea.
It's so good. And she told me, she was like, well, I made sure I got it. And I'm like, good, because if you didn't get it, I'd be so mad. Like,
so I have a creative idea for you if you're open to trying something. Have you ever heard of giardiniera or giardiniera, depending on where you are and pronounce it? It's pickled vegetables, pickled Italian vegetables, very similar to the pepperoncinis.
Yeah.
And like, just to have a little bit of a variety instead of just the pepperoncinis, try like some of the vegetables in there. Like there's carrots, there's also the pepperoncinis, the banana peppers too. Yeah. So like there's a whole bunch of stuff in there.
I love pickled vegetables because my favorite Mexican food thing is the pickled carrots on tortilla chips. Like I just
it's
can't
amazing.
get enough of those. And when I lived on the East Coast, I would come home and get like a bucket of them and just sit there and eat them until the bucket was gone, like from whatever restaurant. Like,
oh my gosh, that sounds like you're making me hungry. And then of course I saw you push that comment through from Daniel. I'm like, oh, my tummy's growling now.
By the way, Daniel gets hungry every show, so this is not a new thing, but it's a little early for him. Usually he comes in later. He's like, yeah, I ordered a burger, and we're like, God. He lives in New York City, so he can order food at like any time.
My
of day.
dinner is after the show tonight, you guys.
Right.
Oh, it's actually
Look.
a Guinness beef stew. So to keep it in the beer theme, that's what we're having for
Oh.
dinner tonight.
That is
Oh, okay.
delicious.
Okay.
I-
Doug, Doug, you didn't answer. What is your go-to? And I'll go get mine.
I have two, and they're both not like standard ones. Other than the lumpy mashed potatoes and gravy, I think that's kind of universal. So yeah. For me, my mom makes two different things that I love, and I have as much as I possibly can. She makes a thing that's like basically like a baked pineapple dish. So it's like just pineapple, and she just bakes it, and it gets a nice little crust on the top, and it's just like it's sweet, but it's so good. I'm just like drooling, and I swallowed my spit because I was drooling so much. And the other thing she makes is this salad, and it's a salad, but the dressing is like sliced hard-boiled eggs and like almost like a sweet thin dressing. And the dressing is a little warm, which is weird. Like usually you don't have warm dressings with lettuce, but
Right.
it's
Right.
I could eat the hell out of that thing.
There are a lot of traditions that have that, by the way. There are a lot of
Mhm.
traditions that serve like
Yeah.
warm, thin vinaigrettes, or what are called Dutch vinaigrettes.
Well,
which
it's
are usually-
Pennsylvania Dutch food, so it makes sense that would be something because that's what my parents make. So
Yeah, it's usually like a really plain
Hmm.
salad. It's often like iceberg lettuce, usually, and sometimes some really thinly shaved onion. Like
no,
that's
just
and that's
literally
about
just
it.
the lettuce and the hard-boiled eggs and the
Yeah,
thin
and then
vinaigrette.
that
It
like
is-
it's
oh.
like a really light vinegar dressing actually. It's really nice. It's
Mhm.
unusually nice.
Yeah, and it's the only problem is because it's warm, like you have to eat it like really
Yeah.
fast because it's the salad just wilts.
It wilts pretty
like,
quick.
pretty quick.
Right.
But
Right.
those are two things that I really love.
Jerry loves the pickle veggies.
Jerry knows
Pickle
what it's
beets.
about. Pickled beets
Absolutely.
are like another one of my favorite things.
Pickled beets are delicious, and if you've never
Yeah.
tried them, I know it might be the Jew in me. Pickled eggs are also really, really good. So are pickled green tomatoes.
Pickled
So
eggs,
Wow.
I feel like I will either I'll either worship you for the rest of my life for making that suggestion or hate you for the rest of my life.
and
I
I'm
don't think
okay
there's
with
a
that.
middle
I'm okay with
opinion.
that dichotomy. Truly, that would be like my recommendation. Like here would be the other crazy food where I would accept that exact literal scenario, and you're just gonna have to go with me on this one. There's a product that not product that's really terrible. That would mean that someone created it for sale or something. There is a traditional tofu preparation called Stinky Tofu. Okay,
I've heard of that.
it is fucking amazing. Like fucking amazing. It's delicious. I remember the first time I tried it, I was in Korea. It was amazing. I was told I was going to hate the smell. I did. The taste, oh my god, it was amazing.
Hmm.
Amazing. And if you
Wow.
happen to hear another person in the background talking, by the way, I'm trying really hard to ignore it. I have my parrot in the background who's going through their entire repertoire of like words and like singing to me right now. And I'm trying so hard not to pay attention. And I feel terrible, 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 terrible. Yes, Stinky Tofu. I'm telling you, it's amazing. You would
So I would
think
look.
it's terrible. So Stinky Tofu, I mean, I'm not going to claim to know all of its history. I did watch a documentary on it after I had tried it, and I was a little taken aback by it, but it makes sense given the history of like food preservation. But imagine a fermented slop of vegetables that is used to preserve other things. The tofu is marinated in this and preserved. It is then further prepared by slicing and used in other applications. And in the case that I had tried, it was in a soup and also in a yakitori type preparation where it was sliced on the thinner side, put on a wooden stick, and grilled over an open flame. And it had a really, really delicious sauce on it. It is probably the same anomaly that most USA citizens that aren't exposed to like fish sauce would probably be a little bit, maybe, I don't like using the word offended, but maybe they might not be accustomed to the smell of it, but they know the taste because it's used a lot in Asian food preparation. But like the moment you smell it, you're just like, ooh, I can't believe that's something I would like. That doesn't really, but you taste it, and you're just like, oh my God, that just doesn't taste like it smells. But anyway,
So someone said they had it in Taiwan, and you said you had it at a Korean restaurant.
in Korea,
So like,
yep.
in Korea. Sorry. So I'm looking at like if I want to try this, I gotta go find like a Taiwanese
You're gonna
or
want
a
a good
Korean.
Asian market. Yeah, there's an Asian. So we have an Asian market up here in Lansdale that often has it, and it's delicious. And it's a mixed group of people there. There are people of varying Asian descents, and there's always something great there. Yeah, I get homemade kimchi out the wazoo. That's just absolutely banging. But oh, you're welcome. I absolutely got a JHG.
All right.
Can I piggyback on the pickled egg thing real quick?
Oh yeah.
My parents do something where they pickle it in beet juice.
Yes,
Ooh.
that's
And
exactly how I grew up with it.
And it's like just looks purple
Beautiful
and
red,
weird,
purple egg.
like red purple kind of color. And
They're great.
when I was young,
Okay.
I hated beets, and I was just like, I don't want to try any of that. Now I'm like, I think I got to ask my parents if they have any because I want to try something.
So now hearing that, now I feel like okay, we're back to worship because in the pre-COVID world, I can't imagine doing this now, but I love salad bars. And my favorite thing about a salad bar is like the really delicious pickled beets and hard-boiled eggs. And so if it's like those two things, like in
It
one,
really is. Honestly, it is exactly it. You get like that sharp bite, not the crispness, right? It's not going to be crisp like a vegetable, right? It's still going to have a hard-boiled egg texture consistency, maybe a bit firmer. I mean, because of the acid, it's a little bit firmer, but yeah, it's just bright. I used to make a soup out of it. Don't get grossed out. We would mash it up right in a bowl and put a little bit of the pickle liquid in it. It's freaking delicious.
There are things that eggs aren't good for. Like you can use egg as a sauce, egg as a main dish, egg
they're
egg
amazing.
on your salad, egg soup.
Eggs are phenomenal.
Well, I'm gonna get to my Thanksgiving must because this year, Doug, my boys are old enough now to cook, and they cook. I talked about this a little bit on the stream. They cook, especially within the past month-ish, the past couple months where I've been a little bit under the weather. They've cooked most of our meals in this house, so we're all going to cook a couple dishes. So my main dish that I wanted cooked is actually Jeffrey's mac and cheese. I was going to say, and we call it Jeffrey's mac and cheese in this house too, and that's what it's referred to. Jeffrey, we even smoked it a couple times, man.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we had smoked big macaroni and cheese. Man, I love it. Sometimes though, a couple times we overcooked it and it got a little bit too crispy on top.
Too crispy.
Or sometimes we actually added too much smoke and it was too smoky. But it's still again for me, it's great and I can't wait. So I'm having Jeffrey's mac and cheese. Actually,
I'm literally so excited. Did you see me? I felt like a little school kid, like seeing candy on Halloween. Like I was trying so hard not to get too crazy there.
Jeffrey's mac and cheese, and at request here, I'm going to show my dark helmet Schwarzbier lager beer that I had. Doug, I'm going to get you one. I'm going to send you one. Titletown Brewing out of Green Bay. Titletown, yep. Titletown, get it. Green Bay, Titletown. Anyway, it's this nice, wonderful, dark, light lager. It's dark. It looks heavy. It looks thick. It's none of those things. It's quick, easy, and it's a lager with a little bit of malt in it, I would say, or a lot of bit of malt. And you get a little bit of malt crispness, but it's still drink crisp like a summer drink, Doug. Fantastic. Oh, wait. Uh-oh.
Right, that was my question. Where is this recipe?
So it's so funny. This is the second time today I'm talking about this, by the way, which is
Jeffrey's mac and cheese.
Literally the second time today. Earlier, if this isn't like I don't know the gods talking about like anything, I can't even. I think they call it my mac and cheese because I went on a quest many years ago to understand mac and cheese. I had been brought up with Blue Box and I didn't like it. I always liked homemade, but every homemade tasted different and it varied from family to family. So I needed to understand like why. I noticed some cultural differences, some ethnic differences, and some regional differences. And then I had children and I needed to have the easiest mac and cheese recipe I could make that was like the least messy. And those are the
Mm.
main two criterion. So I had to forego white American cheese, like white people's mac and cheese, because like it's always made with like a cheese sauce, and it's like it's milk thickened with flour and butter and like cheese added to it, and it's always messy. It's always messy, and like cleaning that up, the twins. Baked mac and cheese was the next logical go around, and there are sort of two schools of thought to bake mac and cheese. There's the let's take the milk-based cheese sauce and add eggs to it and hope it gets like baked mac and cheese. It never does. And then there's what's called the custard mac and cheese, and that is the go around. To understand it, a custard is nothing more than eggs thickened with milk at its base. That's all a custard is. So the recipe that they are talking about is nothing more than cracked eggs, milk, a whole bunch of cooked noodles, and you mix in, just raw grated shredded cheese, and you bake it just as it is. Just those ingredients, nothing more, nothing less. And I tell you, of course, if you want the salt and pepper, you can add it, but don't go add crazy things. Like don't add crab, don't add lobster. That's just me. Smoke, that's different. That's like an enhancement. That's like an upgrade, right? Because like if you've ever had like a good smoked Gouda mac and cheese that's made like this, it's damn good. So that's why it's mine. And they have the recipe. I'm happy to share it. It's actually really easy.
Yeah, Lauren, I can get you the recipe, Lauren, or Jeffrey. We'll hook it up, Lauren.
We'll get it to you. It's super duper easy.
And Renee too. And Renee.
Yeah,
it's super duper easy. And if anybody has children and they like quick mac and cheese, like I have another like easy version of like Kraft mac and cheese with like at home ingredients that literally is a killer knockout for any child. And it's like 12 minutes or under, I can prepare it. So score.
Yeah.
Score.
Doug?
Yeah, I can't follow that up. So, I'm just gonna follow up with a beer. That's better.
All right.
So,
we'll let Renee jump in if she has a follow up. But go on,
Well,
Doug,
I
after
mean,
that.
God, like
After Doug's beer, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I messed that whole
because
thing.
that's okay. So JHG, this is another one you sent me from Caboose. Hobo Imperial Stout with vanilla bean.
Hobo.
So 8% ABV, but I'm curious to see how the Imperial Stout would be with the vanilla bean, because vanilla gets a bad rap. Vanilla is actually very flavorful, and people think vanilla and it's like
vanilla's awesome.
plain. No, vanilla can be really.
Anybody know what vanilla is? By the way, it's a pretty cool fact. Botanically, what is it? Anybody know?
I just know it's a bean.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it is a bean. That's because we call it the vanilla bean. It's actually a pod. It's part of the orchid family. And it's one of the it's one of the only edible orchids out there. Some people would say it's the only one. I would argue that that's not the case, but it's known as the only edible orchid out there.
So the vanilla is like a really nice undertone. So it's like a really nice little roasty stout with a little bit of vanilla to kind of sweeten it some. Like this is really super drinkable. Problem is it's 8% ABV, so like maybe not so drinkable after a couple. But thanks again, JHG, for sending me this. This is really, really good. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
So Jeffrey, vanilla is a flower.
Yeah, it starts as a flower. Yeah, absolutely. And then the actual what we call the bean forms from the out, from the center out. And once the bean is grown is when like the magic happens, because like when you see a vanilla bean growing off of the actual tree, it doesn't at all look like what you think it would look like when you get it. So so if you wanted to Google a vanilla plant to post an image, they're actually really, really, really pretty. The beans themselves are sort of long and green, and that's not what we know as like a vanilla pod by the time like it gets to us, because it's got to get dried, cured, fermented, and like there's a whole process to get to like what we call vanilla. And then of course like vanilla extract, and you're just like, oh wow, there's like a
So is it like a seed pod then?
Yeah, there's actually thousands of seeds on the inside that are really, really awesome. If you've ever seen like someone try to like mimic French vanilla ice cream, they'll scrape the inside of the bean, and that's like all the black flecks you'll see in that ice cream or other custard. And there's actually really cool edible mica flakes that are used to help people cut costs in the food industry that make it look like vanilla bean flecks. But shh, this food scientist didn't tell you that.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
And Renee, you had a follow up to the mac and cheese comment, I think.
You know what? I thought I did, but I actually have a follow up to the vanilla thing, because I used to be a professional baker. That's a little like chapter in my life, and I agree with Doug. Like, vanilla is so underrated, because when you have good vanilla, it's totally
Nothing
different.
better.
Like,
it's totally different.
So, as a food scientist, I guess I would ask, like, what's your favorite varietal of vanilla, like an extract, or that you could get? Because I have my own favorite, and I fake it because it's too expensive.
It's hard.
So I don't know what your favorite is.
So there is, and I'm going to have to look up it's actually really challenging, because each area of the world has a vanilla that's sort of unique to its own. It's sort of like asking which variety of cinnamon is my favorite.
Right.
And that I could more easily point to, truth be told, like Salem cinnamon is probably my favorite of all of them, because to me it's less woodier, and you can feel more of like the cinnamic aldehyde flavor, like that true cinnamon flavor, versus like a cassia cinnamon, which is a little bit barkier and woody. So with vanilla, I tend to go towards like Madagascar grown vanilla.
Yeah.
I really like the complexities, especially some of the barrel aged vanilla beans that I've come across in my time. I think that the Tahitian vanilla never quite gives me like the same depth of flavor that I always want out of it, but that's just my own exposure and experience.
Because Tahitian is my favorite.
Is it? What about it do you like? I'm curious, because they're both different. They're both very uniquely different.
And so here's the thing, is because I fake it more than I have it for real. So that's the thing, right? Like, because I learned as a baker, for like small business bakery, they can't afford like the best of ingredients. So I learned that you can fake Tahitian with combining vanilla extract and almond extract. And so that's what I do every time I make like tea cakes, where vanilla is really like the main flavor. And I think it is that it's just like, it's vanilla plus. Like, it's not just vanilla.
It's
like,
not just vanilla.
things.
I would agree with that. From like a overall sensory perspective, Tahitian does have a couple of other floral notes, which I can see like an almond extract being able to help with. Another really cool thing to do, and if you're still doing it, and we do it here, is I'll get vanilla pods really inexpensive. You can make your own really amazing tasting vanilla extract right at home. And like, you can get so much better than what you can buy at the store. It's just not even funny.
Well, because you can do it in vodka, you can do it in rum. You can
really, like, I actually have like 3 quarts of extract curing right now that are on month like 8 or 9.
Yeah, my wife made one of those. Like, we have a jar, but she just took vodka and just stuck it in there.
Dude, it's amazing. It's amazing.
And it's so much cheaper. Like, you get the vanilla extract and it's like this, and that shit's not cheap.
And it's not cheap. And honestly, with the world global shortage that was seen a couple of years ago due to the crop issue, like, you're only seeing extreme prices. This is like, I don't know what to get too much into like the vanilla market, but like a lot of the bigger companies, but a lot of the bigger company, I know, right, bought up the vanilla extract and really drove the price up. So many companies over the last couple of years were looking for vanilla replacements. And you'll see like a whole new line of like natural vanilla flavors, which really didn't exist before. So there's like a huge surge in what we would call like WONF flavors, WONF, or with other natural flavors. So where they're taking the extract and then combining it with other types of flavors to give you that overall vanilla flavor and feel. Because there's not one flavor that's unique vanilla, like sort of what Renee was alluding to. There are other things that make up that vanilla flavor. And when you're trying to recreate that, you need to find that robustness, right? Some vanillas are smokier, just like your beers. Some vanillas are sweeter. Some are fruitier. Some are spicier. That's one of the reasons why I like the Madagascar, because they're just so super complex to me. And there's a really great Madagascar bean paste that I've come across for baking that is just, let me see if I can Google the link.
I say, like,
anybody.
Jeffrey, I hope you're not going to be weirded out, but like immediately when we're done, I'm friend requesting you, and we're gonna talk about.
Please pick my brain all the time. I love it. Oh, anytime. Oh my God, anytime. So
she
there's a
she
brand,
warned you.
Nielsen Massey, this is it.
She already warned you she's gonna stalk you.
Yep.
Please
Yeah,
go
no, it's
right
happening.
ahead.
It's happening. I'm sorry.
No, please, open book. The brand that I like is Nielsen Massey. I don't know much about like their ethics, I'm not gonna lie, so I don't want to promote it without actually doing maybe some more research on my end, but their product's really, really, really good. It's always high end, and it's the inside of the bean. So you can use both parts of the bean, and once you split the cured bean open, there are the seeds on the inside. That's arguably where the most impactful flavors are. So this is basically just the insides of the vanilla bean. So like a little bit goes a long way. That's it. Oh man, nothing better to me, and it's wonderful stuff.
Wow. Why do you think we'd be doing a deep dive of vanilla?
I didn't think so.
This is
I
why
didn't think so.
This is why this show fucking rocks, is because we'll go into these tangents and just do these rabbit
Yes.
hole things that are.
I love it, Daniel. I'm telling you, Nielsen
Yeah.
Massey is great, especially like this time of year with making cookies. It's a really price effective way when you like to get vanilla extracts expensive. Like right now, and especially a good vanilla extract, you're looking at anywhere between $12 and $18 for like a 2 to 3 ounce bottle, or 2 or 4, depending on how they sell them. You know, for the $22, you're getting just bean paste, and you can use a fraction of it and mix it with alcohol if you wanted to make an extract. But like use it as part of like the wet ingredients for like a cookie batter or a cake batter, and it is much, I think, more cost effective way.
Well, all right. Doug, do you have any that's right,
Hey,
man. Doug,
hey,
do
I
you
don't
have
even know
any
how to follow that one up.
right? So Doug, I was gonna ask, do you have any other Thanksgiving Day questions for food or menu? You're having, it sounds like 2 Thanksgivings away. Are you doing anything at home on Thursday?
Yeah, we are. But I think I'm going to do something different. I'm going to do a brisket that day.
Ooh.
Tell me,
because-
tell me.
Right.
Come on.
Well, I am not. I'm going to say straight up, I use an electric smoker because
Okay.
I am too
I
lazy.
do too.
I am too lazy to tend to it the entire day. What I'm looking forward to this time is I generally get like a 5-pound brisket. I don't get a big one because it's just going to be 4 of us. So like, and then we'll have some left over because it's 5
Sure.
pounds.
That's a big brisket.
Yeah. But the thing is, brisket's expensive now because it's like $10 a pound. It's like not cheap.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm excited for this time is I have butcher paper this time to wrap it, whereas I've always had to wrap it in foil. And I'm interested to see how that turns out. So I think I'm going to be doing that. The cool thing with the 5-pound brisket in my electric smoker is I can set it and I can start it super early in the morning, and it's done by dinner time. Like
Awesome.
It's like 10 hours, 8 hours, sometimes depending on. Yeah, sometimes it's, even though it's set, sometimes the meat cooks faster, but
Depends on what area of the brisket you're getting too. If you're getting a 5-pounder, right?
That's true.
If you
That's
look at a
true.
whole brisket, it's not always even across.
Yeah, and generally all I do is literally I just salt, pepper, and garlic powder.
You
Just
don't
it.
need much more.
No,
But
and I
know
don't do
others would argue.
I don't do like a whole rub or anything like that. But as far as what else we're doing, I'll leave that to Jill. She's a way better cook than I am. I'm good at cooking some things, but I need a recipe. Give me step by step.
So
I'm not a freelancer. She can just wing shit and make it work.
You do the brisket and she does the sides. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can cook stuff too. It's like, but it's just one of those things where it's like I know she'll make some. Hey, let's make this stuff, and like we have an oven where she can proof bread in it. Like it has a proof option.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she'll make some bread. I'm hopeful for that because I fucking love bread. But yeah, it's we'll see. I don't know what else we haven't really discussed what we're doing exactly. So we'll figure it out. But a brisket's something I want to do.
And was there a question for Jeffrey in there?
Other than, do you do anything different with? Is there like, do you what type of wood do you use when you smoke brisket? Is there a
So I don't actually. So it really depends. Honestly, right now I don't have a preference because what I'm going through is the stash of wood that my late dad left. And my dad had a bad habit of stocking up on things as though the apocalypse of zombies were coming. So when I tell you I have,
That's me, man. That's me. Shut up.
no, are we? I mean, you're
Me
not like
too.
35. I think I have between 30 and 32 pounds of like pellet chips to smoke with.
Oh, wow.
I have
Like,
almost every kind of smoke you want, besides the one that Doug likes to use. I'm
Alder.
serious. I really do.
Alder
yeah, we
wood.
I
have
have
all. I mean, I have
mesquite,
alder, apple.
cherry,
Yes,
apple,
I have it
right?
all. Like,
Pecan, oak,
Ooh.
hickory,
I have it
mesquite. I
all.
got them
It's
all. I have them
I have it
all.
all. It's
Right,
exactly what it
right.
feels
I'm
like. I feel
bad.
like
I
I seriously
Bad.
feel like I'm at. I know my dad was bad too.
I feel like
Bad.
I feel
I
like
don't.
I have to come in and also critique the idea
Bad.
that you called it pecan.
It's pecan.
Oh Lord.
Pecan.
I can't believe you
Well,
did that. That's so ableist of you. I can't believe it.
All
That,
right.
like,
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
I'll
So to answer
leave
your
then.
question,
Bye.
here is sort of. Ooh,
he took himself off of it.
oh, he
But
just read you for filth. That's what he did. He read you for filth.
where is? Remind me where Greg is again in the country.
In Wisconsin.
Okay, because I'm in California and it's pecan, like or pecan, but like
I love
pecan.
you, Greg. You're awesome. So wait, I do want to answer your question though, because I do
Mhm.
have an answer for that. And this is something that I would always try to explain to my dad, because he would ask me, what chip should I use for this? I always say this: you want to use heavier woods for heavier meats, right? So and that's always been my experience.
Mm.
When you try to take a heavy wood
Mm.
like an alder wood or a cherry wood or even like a pecan wood, like those are heavy. They produce really heavy, thick smokes, even in the chip form.
Mhm.
I find that the lighter the meat, sometimes the more of a burnt flavor you get. You don't really get the essence of the wood as much. So that's just my own take. So like for a brisket, that's a heavy piece of meat that's going to be on the smoker a long time. So like you need to get a good thick heavy smoke wood that's going to be able to penetrate. So like I like cherry, I really like alder with brisket, truth be told. But like when I'm smoking a chicken, that's when I'll bring out like my mesquite or my hickory. To me, they just produce a little bit of a lighter smoke. And mesquite, especially if I put my electric smoker on like cold smoke setting. So if I want to keep it at like 150 to 160 degrees, or even I can sometimes get away at 140 and have a good light smoke coming, like for fish, like I would again still keep it to like the lighter woods. But that's me.
That's good. I never heard of it in that context. I just kind of would be like, well, I'll try this and see how that is.
And that's the other thing. Like, and that's actually the other thing I would say to Dad. Try it.
Mhm.
Just because I'm saying something might be so, or is what my brain is thinking, or what I've seen work in the past, doesn't mean you might not find it freaking absolutely amazing. Like there's just because it's a textbook doesn't mean you have to actually follow it to the letter, right? Like have fun. You have a smoker and all this damn wood. Use it.
Right.
Play.
And we like pecan with chicken, for the record. We love it.
Ooh,
That sounds
yeah.
really good.
Love it.
It does.
And I said pecan right, damn it. Doug, you have something?
Yeah, actually, I want to go over to Renee because I see you crack a second beer, and I want to hear you pronounce it. That's what I want.
I know. Okay. Well, so there's two funny things about this, because I was going to do my second beer right after you did yours, Doug, but the bottle opener I had wouldn't catch. So I had to like send an SOS via text message, and I don't know if you caught it, but I was passing it off camera to my husband to open it for me. Because there was a minute where I was like really intently trying to open it. I was like, this has got to look super weird, right? So you saw me staring at my crotch. It wasn't my crotch, it was my beer.
Sure it was.
I have no idea how to pronounce this beer. And Doug knows this from the pre-show. I want to say it in Spanish, but it's a French beer. It's from Unibrow, who does Unibrow. Wow. That's not how you pronounce that either. They do Fin du Monde, which is one of my favorite beers. To me, that's the true champagne of beers, like not the Michelob who says that. Miller Lite, yeah.
Miller High Life.
Yeah. Anyway, it's called, I can say the first part from my high school French, but not the second part. So it's Trois Pistoles. And you might feel like I said that like half in French, half in Spanish. And that's because I did.
Yeah.
And it's delicious. I have never had a beer from Unibrow that I didn't. I can't say it right now. Anyway,
Unibrow.
Yeah, whatever. In French, I took like 3 semesters of French in high school, and I still can't do it. Whatever. That's why The French hate Americans.
Yeah.
I'm the
I
reason.
would like to say that they have great bottle art too. Their labels
They
are all
really
really
do.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you show that up again? Because what I saw was really pretty and dynamic.
It's really gorgeous, and like Femme du Monde has a beautiful label as well.
Wow. And I love your nails. I love that color.
Thank you.
It's so springy. It's so not like traditional for like this time of year. I know you're in Cali and it's not like, maybe too cold where you are.
I'm
Maybe
in the
you are. I
desert,
don't.
so it's even less. But it
Oh,
was
it
a
looks like a beautiful
Halloween
coral
special.
color.
It is. I can't remember what
I
it's called.
love it.
It's supposed to be a Halloween special, but when I do my own nails, I like really light colors because they don't.
I know they
get
don't
screwed
show
up
as many.
easily.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh yeah,
Jeffrey
And
knows.
I was
I
gonna
know
say that.
all about nails.
I was gonna say that's a great segue to Jeff. You need to tell us about your nails since the last time
My
you
Yeah.
were
Instagram has
on the stream.
exploded. Oh my gosh.
We didn't know anything about you and nails, and then you got off the stream, and all of a sudden you were the nail dude.
Oh my gosh, I don't even understand what happened. So I can't even. Oh yeah, right now I have so tomorrow is Trans Day of Remembrance.
Oh my God.
So I
gorgeous,
did
though.
a custom set, based on like the trans candles that get lit. So this went up on Insta earlier today. And this I just did a swatch on another, even though it's starting to chip because this is I don't like nail polish that way for like longevity reasons. But this is a really cute little box of horrors compilation, which is like a monthly program that small businesses do, indie nail polish mixers do through Instagram and Insta communities, and they'll do like 50 bottle caps and stuff. But yeah, since we last spoke, I don't even understand what happened, or I cannot describe what has happened. But apparently people really liked my nail platform that I had created, which was really nothing more than a space for me to show off art and to stop biting my nails after my dad died. So I just started painting my nails for fun, really just to stop biting my nails. And y'all know me and my messages. And all of a sudden I started, making designs and finding out that I actually had like a steady hand in art. And I started using the platform for activism and connecting people. And it sort of led through like a really awesome summer project where I got together with a really awesome cosmetic company called named Nasty Woman Cosmetics. And the two of us collaborated together and just launched our first collaborative line of colors for the Progress Pride flag. And a portion of the proceeds are going to the Trevor. I believe it's the Trevor Project. I think. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look it up. But it's just been great. I was for the longest time representing or branding for a few companies, mainly all small businesses. And yeah, apparently people like that I didn't think out, like I thought outside the box, and I didn't just do one color, and I just went with all sorts of crazy designs. And yeah.
Renee, follow up.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love it. It's like so you can't tell because I have short nails because my friend gave me for free an electric bass, so I cut my nails off and so I can learn how to play it, right? But I love nail art and like crazy
I
long
love
nails
it.
and all that. And so I'm wondering like how did you make the jump from I'm just doing my nails because it's fun and it's gonna help me stop biting my nails to
I have no idea.
now you're
I honestly have no idea because I entered
like through social media. Is that
Yeah,
how
it was all through social media. And truth be told, there were two people that sort of pushed me into it. Gina Keller, she's the woman that owns Nasty Woman Cosmetics. She and I had been doing volunteer work with a group called Pantsuit Nation. So we had been doing like political action work together, and I knew that she had developed a company. She sent me a bottle of polish just for fun. And she's like, you need to start an Instagram. So I did in December of last year. So this December will be a year that I had my Insta account. And in that year, I now have like 22 or 2,300 followers or somewhere in between there. And like the account completely and utterly grew. I guess I hit a wave of people that were masculine presenting and doing their nails and not giving a fuck.
Yeah.
And I then turned it into a little space for activism where people of all sorts of voices are going to have room to call home. So I did a whole series on like the
Amazing.
different pride flags that are out there, including like ace, aromantic, non-binary, trans. I mean, there were a total of 31 different flags that I did on my nails. And then I've
Amazing.
just gone crazy with the art of it. It's fun. I like the challenge, and like you get to see all the cool trends that are going on right now. Like sweater
Yeah.
nails are really fun, and I just did a whole set of sweater nails for like an ugly Hanukkah sweater because everyone's like
I
posting
love it.
their like Christmas nails, and I'm like, screw that, I'm Jewish. I want to see Hanukkah. That's first. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna do Hanukkah sweater nails. So I did. And like, I don't know, 500 likes later, I'm just like, oh my God, I cannot believe it. Yeah, okay, sweater nails. Here, I'll post a picture
Yeah,
for you.
Yes,
please show us because I've never heard of sweater nails. Obviously, I'm not in the nail game. It's not that I'm opposed to like painting my nails. I just never think to do it. And
Yeah, this is not something that like the at-home person would be able to really do per se. At like, I mean, you'd have to have a little bit of technique behind you, but it's something you could take to a salon and be like, you know, can you do this? Here is a picture of like a sweater nail set. This is somebody did this work at home. This is with gels, the way they did this particular one. I'm not logged into Instagram, so I can't show you. Oh, here's what we can do.
all right. So
People who do their own nails, like their own nail art and stuff, like blow my mind because for me, when I had long nails, shaping my own nails was like the biggest
Is
learning
a
curve of
bitch.
my life.
It's a
Yeah.
bitch.
And so I'm like, I can barely get the shape I want. And then you have this, which is like, is that done with acrylic or like, how is
Okay,
that
so
built?
no, it's not. So, and that's such a great question because there's a lot of confusion as to like what's what in the nail world, and like a lot of terms are oftentimes confused. Um, and if you want to, Greg, you can go to my Facebook profile, and the second to last picture was the Hanukkah sweater nail set. For some reason, my computer's being a goof, and I don't want to look like I'm not paying attention over here. So the long and short is that you're going to have nail techs tell you that one is better for your nail and one will hurt your nail. At the end of the day, all these nail things, except for nail lacquer, which is like nail polish, are all different beasts of the same chemical group. They're all plastics that get hardened somehow, whether you're using like acrylic, which is like the acrylic powder, and monomer liquid, which has like a sweet sort of aroma that's very typical to like sculpted nails, or you
Right.
use a gel-based nail, whether it's a hard gel or what's called builder gel is another term that you'll find, or even polygel. They're all methacrylates, so they're all chemical, you know, all plastics that get hardened under UV light or some sort of LED light. Most sweater nails are UV based, so they're gel, and then they have acrylic powder poured on top. So like this, like what the picture that you're seeing up right now, for example, like if we just focus on like the middle nail, if you were to find like your coral color, for example, that you're using, and that's why I chose that, right? You would put a layer or 2 or 3 of just the coral color, and if it's a gel, it'll be shiny. So what you'll then do is go in and put like a matte coat on top to dull out the finish, and that sort of gives you that sweater dull look. And then you go back in with the same color and a fine brush. You'll very gently paint that pattern on that you see. You'll start with the inside of the nail and then work your way out. This way you create the symmetry. And then before you cure the gel under the UV, you pour over a clear acrylic powder, and then sort of just tap off any of that excess dust and then cure it. And then once it's cured, you know, gels will set in a matter of 30 or 60 seconds, depending on the gel. You just dust it off, and that's actually the look that you are left with, which is really cool.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I never in my life would have thought I would. I mean, people come to me left and right about all sorts of stuff, nails, and I just, in my world, I was the one who bit my nails since I'm 5. Like I had short stubbies, and now like for the most, like these are all natural at this point, and I have to keep them short because of typing, and I'm also a musician. These are also now you know, all natural, which is just crazy. I never had long nails, and these are short, but I used to keep them much longer. Yeah. Oh,
long nails are so like, I don't care what anybody says, they're very empowering.
I love them.
I feel like they're so
oh my
empowering.
God. And
I
red.
feel like, yes.
Red.
But one thing I forgot, actually, I said wrong that this was a Halloween special. It wasn't. That was my last nail color. This is actually a local nail company called Death Valley Nails that I got at a local shop. So like if you like this, you should check them out because they
I'm
have
actually
like,
Googling them right now.
Yeah, they have the most amazing color selection, but it was at like a little local shop, and I haven't like researched them or anything. But
I know
just
them.
remember that.
I know them on
so,
Instagram.
Yeah.
I recognize some of these hands because what I like about their. So okay, stop. Well,
All
hold
right,
up.
wait. That's a
Hold
very
up.
Zoolander hand model vibe.
Well,
Just
it's
threw
more
out
than
there.
just that. It's more than just that, and I'll tell you why it's more than
I'm
just
David
that.
Duchovny.
Right? I'll tell you why it's just that, because when you start browsing people's stores and whatnot, you notice trends. And one of the things that has become a big platform issue for me on Instagram is I'm friends with a lot of swatchers that are black and brown. And when you go to people's companies, all you do is see white hands. So I get used. The first thing I look at is not the nail polish. I actually look at the models. And what I like about what I see here is that I see older hands or aged hands. And that's
Yes.
important because in order for people to be able to see what a polish is going to look like on their hand, you want to be able to see accurately what the hell it is you're buying. And if you're buying a coral, you know, you're not going to know what that coral is going to look like if you are a light tan, a dark tan, a dark brown, or a light brown. And you know, things that I've learned
Especially
through
with
this
nudes,
community.
right?
Well, that's a word I will avoid because to me, nude is no longer a color. To me, nude is a state of being, right? Like my nude is different than yours, is different than somebody else's. And it's like I'm trying to educate people that the way in which they can change their language, like, wow, I found the greatest nude or I found my perfect nude is a big difference. Right. And that nuance in language really makes or breaks whether or not somebody feels accepted or they can look at and say, wow, I can see that as a nude for me. Because when you start using nude as a noun, not a verb, it has big implications. So when I go onto a site, yeah, I look at hands. I want to see all sorts of colors and tones. I don't want to see just white swatchers. And it's actually a really big thing in the Insta like activism space, I guess, that I sort of I plunged into. I had no idea that any of the work I was doing was going to translate into nails. Honestly, I thought it was just about nail art. But like when you start seeing those trends, it's like, holy shit, I'm not going to support you. Like some of these companies like had all these pride lines this last year, but they didn't hire a goddamn queer swatcher. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
So you want my money, but you're not going to hire a goddamn masculine person to like, you know, paint their nails? Are you effing kidding me?
And there's some really amazing men on Instagram doing amazing nails,
amazing
long, short,
nail
shapes,
art. Yes,
like,
all over. But back to your shaping. Shaping is so effing hard. And I have a secret. I have a girlfriend I send pictures to, and she'll give me critiques. But the best is you look at your hand at all different angles as you're shaping, and you want to look at it head on, most especially, and from the side. And you can actually see the curve. And if you can see where your curve is, you can see where to shave off, especially as you're building an extension to a nail.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want is for a fake nail to look like it's fake.
Right. And also if you're curved there, you're what's known as the apex. Greg and Doug, if it's not right, your nail's gonna pop off.
Not only is it going to
pop off. There's
all
all
these
weird things that people don't understand, but yeah.
No,
Doug and I have no idea.
So think of it this way. Think of it this way.
And you were doing you're looking at the curve, and I'm thinking, what if you have flat nails? So you're like a flat earther.
Well,
right? Are you a flat earther?
You just paint it. But if you're building your nail with acrylic or polygel or something like that, there's like a whole thing where you put your extension on, but then you have to build that with acrylic or polygel or whatever you're using. And that little curve that you see on the nail is like one of the most important things, and it's also like the hardest thing.
Right. So wait, put your finger back up there, and I'll show you why. I'm going to talk you through it. You're using your left hand right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so take your right hand and right finger, and I want you to point right towards the front of the nail. You see how there's a little bubble?
Yeah.
Right. You see how it bubbles up? As your nails grow, that's sort of like a teeter-totter. Right? That's going to be the point in which something is going to break. Yeah, right. So where you see that natural curve, you need to be able to emulate that on a flat nail bed in order to have long nails. Otherwise, there's the point of tension is going to actually break the nail bed. And when you look at it, it's going to look damn ass fake because nobody's things grow straight out. Right? It's like Pinocchio's nose, right? It always looks fake. It doesn't, right? Everything has a little bit of a curve to it. So you have to be able to build that. And there's definitely an art. I know you're gonna. I'm telling you, you're gonna stare at your nails from all sorts of angles,
Right.
and like,
So is
it's,
it?
Into tonight,
Is it-
Doug
is
and
it
Greg
si-
are just going to be like,
No, is it something like
This is
center
amazing.
of gravity, like
amazing.
kind of like
Yeah.
This
the
is
center of
amazing.
gravity, like you have
so
it,
the
and if
longer
it's
your
not,
nail is,
or a fulcrum, or like a fulcrum, or something like that,
so
like
you've
yes,
seen,
it's exactly it. It's exactly it. You're creating a fulcrum with the apex. The apex is nothing really more from a physics perspective, the fulcrum of that, pivot point. And
Yeah.
if you challenge it too much, like, a thing that people love is having long nails. Some people love having long nails. But what nail technicians tend to do is they'll go overboard and they'll go too long with the extensions. And that's where people are going to have some major issues, especially with breaking and also the look. Right. So if a client comes in and they have short nails, you can't go to like a triple XL length. You just can't. I'm sorry. They're going to hurt themselves. Right. So if they come in and they have naturally some extension to their nail, you can go beyond that. Right. The longer your natural nail, the longer you can go with an extension. Why somebody wants to go that long, that's on them. If they enjoy it, let them enjoy it. It's really hard to do stuff with very long nails, having had triple XLs for a photo.
I love it though. I'm in
I
a lot of
love
nail
it.
groups, and my favorite
Greg,
thing is
show us your
showing.
nails, coward. I love it.
Not
favorite
doing
thing
it,
is the
Zach.
who go like they go like
Some
like
of them are
extensive, right?
amazing,
Like,
and like the bling and
and
3D
you
art.
watch like Cardi B, she's like cracking crab legs, and she's. I mean, I'm like, I couldn't
I couldn't even imagine.
type, like I couldn't do anything. But the most common question for women who have nails like
Right
over
now on
maybe a half
VIP, I
inch,
love it.
they're like, how do you wipe your butt? And it's so funny because they get really, because everyone asks that question. So you get mad at any question you get asked. And everyone's like, what's going on in your life that you're wiping your ass with your fingernails?
Right? That's what I want to know. Why are you digging in your ass?
Because I don't do that.
Do you have
My nails
hemorrhoids?
are
Is
short,
that
and I
it?
don't do that.
Like,
How do
like, why are you
wipe
digging?
your butt with nails?
What is
Wow.
going on?
Wait,
That's like
wait,
a
you gotta
thing.
understand. So, wait a second. Here's a really funny thing. Here's a funny story that people do all the time, right? And you might relate to this, Renee. I don't know.
Wow.
So people will always assume that when you have long nails, you don't know how to have sex with your partner because you're going to hurt them somehow because you have long nails. And it's just like I posted a whole Pride series of nails that I did during Pride Month in a really fairly open forum, and like everyone's like, "Oop, don't come near me with those. You're going to hurt me." And I'm just like, "Are you fucking kidding me? The first thing you think about is sex? Really? Or
Well,
wiping
okay,
your
but
ass?
also,
It's like, are there other
high
things we
femme
could think
women,
about? Like, are there other
high
things
femme
as a
women have
people
been
we could
having
think
sex with
about?
other women for like millennia, and they've had really long nails, and they've had stiletto nails, and they figured it out. Okay,
They
so
figured it
like,
out, girl, because
if it's
I don't.
something that matters to you, like you want to have long nails and you also want to have these experiences,
I love
then
you,
ask a
Greg.
high
Your
femme
laugh.
woman. But like,
You're so
if
red,
you just
Doug.
want to
It's
know because you're
awesome.
weird, then like just don't
Renee,
be weird.
I'm gonna profess my love for you right now. Like you don't even understand. I feel like you're a sister from another mister right now for me. You don't even
Seriously.
understand. Doug is totally blushing.
I'm
It's
just
awesome.
saying. Sorry, Doug.
I brought
No,
Renee.
the thing
We
is,
brought Renee on to keep this on the rails, and we're so
And I'm
far
taking it
off.
off
It's
the rails. I know.
amazing.
I'm sorry.
Understand
It's
where we are.
amazing.
I knew that me and Jeffrey were gonna get in trouble when
Yeah.
we started freaking out about having like a mutual love for a random podcast host.
There is no way in hell.
Well, wait a second. First of
Right.
all,
Without
we haven't
y'all
even
being
talked
here,
about that.
right, and without y'all being here, there's no way in hell Doug would be and I would be in this conversation. And that's just the beauty of
and there's
this.
no way in hell Doug would be
And
that red.
right, I could never make
I
Doug
love
that
it.
red ever.
But the funny thing is I'm not embarrassed. I think this is fucking great.
I'm not embarrassed. I think.
Oh yeah,
no. I'm laughing because it's like this is shit that
Look,
like I would never talk
This shit is
about.
off the nails.
Off the nails.
Oh man.
Oh man,
Yeah, I love it.
I don't even know where to go with this talk. We have other shit we want to talk about, but I don't even know if I want to leave this subject. It's
I don't
fantastic.
know how much there is more to say.
Wow.
There's so much to say about it, but what I will say is shameless plug. Follow me at Dad Nails on Instagram because there's always space for people to bring up issues, and I always want to make sure that people have a home there. So if you ever want me to, do a set because there's a cause that's important to you, please let me know. Like, I would love to. So yeah, just reach out to me. And this is all because I love doing it. It's now a hobby. I can't do it as often as I used to because of my work. But let's see, vanilla in beers, long nails and sex. Some make it work. I agree. I agree. Oh,
I
and the
disagree with Doug
toenails.
showing us his toenails, though. I don't know that.
No, now listen, my toenails are not gross. But nobody wants to see that shit. Who wants to see my toenails or my feet? Nobody wants to see that shit.
I love it. Oh man.
Oh, Zach, I'm pretty sure it's when you and I met, but that's okay.
Oh man. And it's what I love about our community, Doug, and our people. Like I had no idea the chemistry that we would have between Renee and Jeff when I booked this. I had no idea that they had so much in common.
I'm
But,
so
like,
excited about this. You don't even understand. And that your tattoos are awesome. They're beautiful. I want to
I'm a-
ask you so many
Thank you.
questions about that, although this is not the forum. I
I'm
don't know
about
if
to
you want to
just
take your shoulders down, but girl, I'm all about it. I want to be like, oh,
yeah, and I'm just about to just remove Doug and I, and y'all can just take over this whole stream.
Yeah, it's fine.
And it'll be
It was meant to be.
Okay.
Apparently.
So, right. Doug has some Doug's gonna jump off here soon. Y'all and Jeffrey and Renee and I are gonna run with it to the end. So Doug wants to talk about something, so we're going to do that right now. What's up, Doug?
All right. So what I want to talk about is a friend of mine put me onto this show. He said, you really got to check this show out. So I'm going to shoot tab here. It is from the director Neil Blomkamp, but he did a show called, just the show is Oat Studios. I don't know why he's named it that. It is like if you took Love, Death, and Robots and Black Mirror and you scrambled them in a blender, and it's just fucking bonkers and awesome. Some shows are 5 minutes, some shows are 25. I swear to you, I watched all of them in one sitting. And as Greg knows, I am not a binge watching person. That's not my jam. There's one episode in there. I'm not going to ruin it. It's an episode called Zygote. That was one of the most fucked up, awesome things I've ever seen. Like, it's super good. Renee, if you like, I think you and I have talked about Blomkamp before. I could be wrong, but like,
it sounds familiar.
Yeah, he does some really awesome, weird horror stuff. But they have like Sigourney Weaver. There's Amanda Seyfried, and that like big name actors in that. And the show is not like a big thing. But it's superb. Like, just
where do we find this, Doug?
Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, I just
this electric knife thing that keeps coming up is like fascinating.
Oh, that is funny because that episode is basically like a series of 80s weird
kitchen inventions gone wrong.
Kitchen things gone wrong. Yes.
Oh,
that's exactly what it looked like
sold.
to me.
Yeah.
I'm
all right. So what's it called again, Doug?
Called Oat Studios.
And it's on
Netflix.
Boom.
Oat Studios. Netflix.
Hey,
okay.
Any of y'all have anything y'all watching you want to share?
So I'm getting into I Am Jazz.
Oh,
I've heard of this.
Yes,
on TLC. It is. I got to tell you, there are some things about it that are a bit triggering for me, but I got to tell you, overall, it's amazing. It's just amazing. I mean, that's one of the shows that we're getting into. Lock and Key. If you haven't, season 2 just came out,
yeah.
and it is amazing.
We just started season 2.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I will say nothing. Although I'm. Oh, it's amazing.
I Am Jazz is TLC, and then the second one you just mentioned,
Lock and Key. That's a Netflix original.
Lock and Key. Okay.
Lock and Key is really good. It's also I mean, if your kids are teens, I think it would be a phenomenal like family show. I don't think it's overly scary. It's more suspenseful, and it is a show that centers around children of a family that range from like 7, 8 years old at the young lead character Bodhi, to Tyler, who is the older brother, who I'd say is around 18, 19 years old.
17. That's a key part of the show right now. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, I was just
Sorry.
no. He's like end of high school age,
It's a
so I
plot
was like,
point. That's why.
yeah, no. I'm not giving nothing away. It's a phenomenal show.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really good. And we also just watched not that I would recommend it. A lot of people were saying I can't get that time back. Oh my gosh, it was the what
Well
was that
then,
show? Oh my god, about the Korean mini series on.
Oh, Squid Game.
That's it, Squid Games. Yes.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about
I
that a few
thought it
times
was
on the show.
I thought it was pretty good actually. I don't know. I was
I
ready.
hear mixed reviews on that one.
I heard mixed
Mhm.
reviews. But I really liked it. I thought it was entertaining personally.
Well, Renee, you have something you watching? Because I don't.
I'm the worst binge watcher. I love to come to a show that
I'm
has
the
like a
worst binge
lot of
watcher.
seasons and just watch it all. So I'm on season 5 of Lucifer, which is the cheesiest show that's ever been on television. But me and my husband fucking love it. And I like it, like worked its way into my dreams. I had a dream where like Lucifer of the TV show was in it, but he was also a fluffy black cat. It was great. He's never a fluffy black cat in the TV show. So
Never. No, he's not.
Right.
So I fucking love that show. And then I'm also watching Lock and Key, which is also a phenomenal comic book series by Joe Hill, who
Is it?
is an
King's
amazing
kid.
horror author. Yeah, and he's Stephen King's son. In my controversial opinion, as someone who's a huge Stephen King fan, like one of these days when my office is organized, I'm gonna like flip the camera so you can see my Stephen King collection. I'm a huge Stephen King fan. Joe Hill is a way better author than his father. Like way better.
That's a big
I
statement.
think he's distilled all the great things about his dad and like got rid of all the weird shit and like really built on it. And as a comic book author, he is
Wow.
really amazing. And so that's where
Wow.
Lock and Key is based on. And I had been reading the series for a while before the show came out.
Wow.
And I think we're now at a part in the show where like I like fell off the comic book series, not for any reason other than I'm a busy person. So I would also super recommend Lock and Key.
Yeah, I think
And
as well.
Lucifer
I
if you
mean,
want cheese, because I love cheese. So
yeah. I didn't care for Lucifer, but my mother and my husband both loved Lucy.
yeah,
Wow.
and that's what we call it at home. Do you want to watch an episode of Lucy?
Yeah, Lucy.
I have another show recommendation only because it's a friend of ours, Rue Powell's show, Undercover Underage, but that is a trigger warning show because that's about her chasing men who solicit underage girls online. So
Oof, yeah.
that's a rough watch.
It's a rough.
But she's doing fucking work on that. She is.
Where can you watch that?
Oh, yeah.
That's on Discovery Plus. Basically, she goes in and she is like a 38-year-old mom of 3 girls, and she goes in and poses as a 13-year-old girl on camera.
Oh, wow.
And it's hard to fucking watch. It is because there's some really fucking gross guys out there, and just she runs a nonprofit that tries to help police capture these guys, and that's hard fucking work. And just like I said, not to bring the show down, but Rue is an awesome human as well. Yeah.
Well, yep. And I was gonna let you comment on the news of the day if you wanted to before you left.
No, I don't want to.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think we're all know the big news, and we're just I don't want to.
All right, Doug. So
I don't want to be angry.
Okay, so do you want to wrap with your beers and say goodbye to us, or is this your time?
I'll do really quick. So I had the Hobo Imperial Stout with vanilla bean, and I had the Gingerbread Stout. Both of these are really good. This was a little better. Thank you, JHG, for this, but this was superb, and I think you should have it when it's around Christmas. Yeah, Jack, I'm a bummer. I'm a bummer every day, so enjoy that. All right, but folks, thanks for joining in, and
it's so
I'll
good to see you, Doug. Happy holidays to you and your
you as
family.
well. Love you guys. Take care.
All right, Renee will be back. So Jeffrey,
It's
you
just
want
me, hubby.
Do you want to remark on the day, the events of today?
I mean, I don't want to echo what Doug said. I mean, is there anything to say? No. I just hope that if anybody has an ounce of love in their heart and empathy in their heart, and they have people that they call friend and they are black or brown, I hope you reached out to them. I hope you checked in on the friends, because honestly, it's just disgusting. That's all I got to say. I mean, I am not going to say that I follow the case as intently as I could have. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my own work life, but I follow the highlights, and it's just another ugly, disgusting show of just who we are. I mean, that's unfortunately. I bet. What else can I say? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm doing everything I can to get our goddamn school board back in order. I'm in Central Bucks, so that's been in the news lately, and that's just been a fucking shit show.
Shit show, I'm sure.
A
Our
fucking
school
shit
boards
show.
have.
It's
I mean,
nasty out
it's
over
been.
here. It's
Oh
just
my
a shit
god.
show. And
Yeah.
it's just like all these angry parents that don't want to teach people, their white kids, history, and it's like all the shit up on the 1619 Project or critical race theory, and it's just like, y'all don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Like literally, you don't know what you're talking about, and every time you open your mouth, you show it. That's literally what you do. So it's super frustrating because we're trying here really hard to just raise our kids to be fair, equitable, knowledgeable, and empathetic human beings. Because there's something wrong here. There's just something wrong. Like this history just keeps repeating itself, and it's like I'm sort of getting tired of all of my all the social white folks saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sad that this happened. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm so angry about this." Well, great. I'm glad those words are telling, but what the fuck are you doing about it? Did you vote in your local board? Did you go to that school meeting? Did you watch those Zooms? Did you get angry at the ground level? What are you doing? Stop telling me how angry you are and start telling me what you're doing. I remember I had to literally get my ass out to get out to the vote. But you know something? I did. I just moved, so I didn't have all the paperwork filled in time for, mail-in ballot voting. Shame on me. But like, there's no effing way you were going to get me to not vote in minor election. My ass. Every goddamn election's important. And it's like so many people would rather just sit on a high horse and be upset that this is what's happening instead of actually going out and doing something. And while I might not have the time for the physical activism that I used to do, I'm going to damn well pull every string that I can in the power that I have. Like, so yeah, I'm pissed with the results of today, but it was predictable. I mean, what else am I going to say? I'm not going to sit here and say I'm shocked. I'm not. It's fucking America. I hate saying it, but 10 years ago I might have been shocked, but I'm not anymore. Like,
Renee?
Well, like a big amen to everything Jeffrey said. And one of the things that is, I guess, really bothered me about it is I mentioned in the pre-show meeting, I didn't really have the bandwidth to follow it closely because I think, like everyone, I had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen. But watching people who were watching it comment on the way the prosecution handled the case, it just like really brought home this big frustration I have. I know I've talked in the past on, I think I've talked in the past on the show about working in like the aftermath of true crime. Like I, kind of dissect like what happened and what does this say about us? And the reality is like being so steeped in true crime, for lack of a better way to define it, is like Americans have a very wrong idea about what court is, and a very wrong idea about what purpose it serves, and a very wrong idea about what the people in the courtroom are trying to do. And I don't think people realize that it is. What I kept seeing today is the prosecution lost the case, the defense didn't win. And that matched with what I was seeing previously. And it just brought, like, I'm mad about this. I'm mad about all of the other situations in which this was the case. I'm mad about the situations in which someone should have been found innocent or been found guilty of a lesser charge, but the prosecution did, approach things a certain way. Like, I'm just mad about the way that the American court system works. I'm mad about the biases that come into it. I'm mad about the way that some people get away with things and other people don't. Like, it's,
it's absolutely terrible.
I'd be really blunt about it. Like, he was a young white guy. And if he was a woman or he was a different shade of brown or whatever, like, who knows what would have happened. But he wasn't any of those things. And we're more than happy to put women in prison, and we're more than happy to put men in prison. And, God, I've seen true crime has shown me so many cases where a woman should have been found innocent because she was acting in self-defense and she got sent to prison for the rest of her life. I've seen
but we're not going to believe women or anything. Why would we do something like that? Like, why would we do something like that? I'm sorry. Yeah. Am I on the wrong show?
No, women are crazy and emotional. It's, we're crazy and emotional. And
please tell me you listen to the do you listen to the podcast Up and Vanished?
I have not heard that one, no.
You need to.
I believe you because I feel like we're like,
Girl, if you like true crime, and the most recent one is about a whole slew of Native women and Native folk that
oh
just have
God,
gone
yeah,
missing, and while I don't necessarily agree with the tone that the podcast has taken, I've been listening since season one. I do like that they're covering a marginalized community that needs exposure, like needs absolute
yeah.
exposure. So like I like that it's taken that bit of a turn, but it's uh, to echo, people don't and I'm not the one to understand it, by the way, but people don't understand how our court system works or how our laws work. And I think that there is this overarching romantic idea of what our court system is. And I think it really extends down to how we as people in a country have been taught. I don't want to go as far as say
Mhm.
brainwash, but there are just certain truths or things that we could say, like, everyone's like, well, our justice system is great. You're innocent until proven guilty. No, you're
You're
not.
not.
Shut the fuck up. Really?
Exactly.
Like, wait a second.
Exactly.
That's not reality.
Authenticity.
That's not that. You can write that anywhere you want, but that's not reality in today's age and world. And
No, the
so no,
reality
we
is,
don't understand. And I'm not going to sit here and claim to understand all the nuances of the Rittenhouse case and why he got off or whatnot. But what I can tell you is that it was built off a racist system. That's how it happened, and
right.
that we allowed things to move in such a way that this is still the case. I mean, it's not like this is a one-off time that this has happened. Like, this isn't the first
Right.
time. Like, let's not. We can't sit here and be like, I'm so shocked, and that
So,
So,
Greg,
sucks.
I'm going to spring this on you because I forgot to send you the link to this
okay,
one. But I've been listening to
worst.
this podcast series called Believe Her.
Oh,
And it is the case of a woman who has been sentenced to 25 to life for murdering her husband in self-defense. And there is this preponderance of evidence that he was beating her up all the time. She had to quit her job because of it.
Great,
She had like just
great
her
podcast.
landlord saw it. Social workers, like, she had evidence from people whose job it is to record this evidence. Like, there was no question whatsoever. But the way the court system works is you get to play things certain ways, and you get to perform your show a certain way, and you get to pull things out that should be in and put things in that should be out. And she's going to be in prison for the rest of her life for
Rest of her
lack of a
life.
miracle. And we see this happen with women all the time, where it should just be a clear-cut case of self-defense, and it's not. And then we see this guy who goes and he takes a gun to a public place, and he's going to,
there was no
what the hell are
yeah.
you doing with a gun in a public place if you don't intend to fire it, right? But oh no,
Right. Oh, but and
self-defense, he's
17
fine.
years old. Right. And
Yeah.
17. Like, let's
Well,
just come.
And I don't think we have a good grasp on, like, I think I'm probably in good company when I say, like, I have very complicated feelings about prison. For the
Mhm.
most part, I don't think the way that we do it is good. And I've seen some of my friends really struggling with that, with this case in particular, and with other cases where it's like, maybe sometimes prison is okay. And like having to battle with what we know about the prison system too. I just think it's so fucked. Like, the whole justice system in this country
It's
is
terrible.
so screwed up that, like, you can't fix anything because there's so many other things wrong. So you want the rapist to go to prison. You want Kyle Rittenhouse to go to prison. But then, like, you're like, but also prisons are bad. It's, it's a mind game the whole time.
It is. It
mhm.
is. I agree with Rosenberg. ZJ
Yeah,
Rosenberg.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yes.
not. It's not. We and I don't think that shows like Law and Order did anything good for us as a population, because it gave us the thought that we understand Law and Order, and it also is just like how, I don't know, I don't want to say like House MD turned everybody into like Google doctors, right? And we all of a sudden
Yeah.
know what amyloidosis is and how to diagnose it. Right. And if you've
Mhm.
ever watched House, you understand amyloidosis was probably part of every one of his medical differentials. But anyway, um, I don't think that any of us are really well enough to talk about some of these topics, but we feel with the little bit of knowledge that we have, we can, instead of sitting back and listening to the people who are actually doing it. And when you look at the case that was presented,
Mhm.
literally was almost as self-evident as, our founders could have written. I mean, in the way in which the law was written. And that's what sucks about it. And I knew we were going to be talking about it, so I read a lot about it, unfortunately. And it's like Wisconsin law was on his side. Honestly, the minute he said that he would claim self-defense, law was on his side.
And the other thing too, I think is important to understand is that all the people who are involved in the system are human too, right? So, like, you can say that prosecutors shouldn't have any emotion about the case they're trying, but then in other cases, you're kind of like, well, how could you not? Like, we're all human beings, and we're all going to have, like, if you work in prosecution, you work in the police force, you work in defense, you work on, like, you're a judge, like, you have your own ideas that are reinforced by the job you do every day. Like, an ER doctor has a different opinion on bicycle helmets than a random person, because the ER doctor always sees people who are really screwed up from not wearing a bicycle helmet, right? Like, his opinions are stronger and reinforced by the job he does. And if you're a judge or a prosecutor or a defense attorney, that is also true. It's just different. It's a different part of society that you have these really ingrained opinions of, that you are sure you were right about because you do this job every day. And sometimes doing the same job every day doesn't make you an expert. It makes you more tunnel
Myopic.
vision.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's Jeffrey with the bigger vocabulary words.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
No,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Well, one of the things that Doug and I pride ourselves on, or we at least started priding ourselves on, is the ability of going from talking about serious subjects to fun subjects back to serious. So we're going to segue to, I don't know, some of yours. So we'll give the lady the first digs here. What are you listening to, Renee? You already said you
so
said
serious. It's
you're
so
like,
serious.
I sprung it on you, Greg. So can you go back
to
real quick before you get to the one that you have prepared? We have prepared for you. What was the one that you dropped when you and Jeffrey were just talking about Rittenhouse there?
Believe Her.
Believe Her.
And it is by Limonada Productions. I'm listening to it through Apple Podcasts. I'm aware that it's available through other podcast things. So Believe Her. And it's it's very hard to listen to. So be super aware of that going in.
Okay. So Believe Her's number one. And then what's your other serious one, Renee? Come on now.
My other super serious one, which is actually very funny a lot of the time, but they deal with very serious subjects, is You're Wrong About. And it is Michael Hobbs, who Jeffrey and I bonded over, and Sarah Marshall, whose name always makes me laugh because forgetting Sarah Marshall. But anyway.
No, that's Jeffrey.
Not that one. That's mine.
Yeah, no,
that's also mine.
Right. I don't have yours. What am I doing? Go on, Renee.
I'm sorry. Earlier, but anyway.
I did, and I don't.
They take really common things that we think we know everything about, and they kind of recontextualize it. They do extra research, and I have loved this show for all of COVID because I had so much time to listen to podcasts during that time. And the one that I have dug into recently is they have done a multi-episode. I mean, just so many episodes. I think I'm on the 10th episode right now, and there's more to go, on the O.J. Simpson case. And I've started listening to that because as an elder millennial, I was like 11 or 12 when this was in the media. And as I've compared notes with people around the same age as me, we have some really freaking weird experiences around that media circus and the tension that was built around it and the way that everyone seemed to have a vested interest in it that has always fascinated me. And so I couldn't watch the Ryan Murphy show. I'm sorry. I apologize. I couldn't fucking do it. This is my way into like trying to learn more about it, to have some understanding of what the hell was going on around me when I was like 11 or 12 years old. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what? I poll my friends, like, when you were like in junior high and the OJ verdict came out, did they like stop class to tell you the verdict? And my friends are like, oh my God, yeah, how weird is that? And I'm like, okay, well, like, did everybody cheer? And they're like, oh my God, everybody cheered. And it's like, that's weird, right? Because like certainly we all had different opinions on whether he was guilty or not, or some of us had no opinion because we were 11, and yet there was like this viable release of tension that came. That it was like,
it was such a highly publicized case.
Kids,
I mean, it was
it
was like in your face.
At 12, you're not cheering because you're like, yes, this football player who hasn't played football since I've been aware of football is not guilty. You're cheering because it's like, yes, maybe all the adults in my life will calm the fuck down. Like, like it's because there were so many things that were coming into play in that case. And so many people like had opinions that were not necessarily based in anything factual, but in what they needed to believe. And so you might need to believe that dirty cops get their due, or you might need to believe that abusive men get their due, or you might need to believe that the justice system works. And like all these things played into this really highly publicized thing that I don't think anybody my age had ever experienced before. And weird shit happened. Like since I've been listening to the You're Wrong About series on it, I'll go and like I'll learn a new fact and I'll go poll my friends. Well, if you had to answer in 10 seconds, who was Ron Goldman to Nicole Brown? And we all inevitably have some version of the same answer, and it's the wrong answer. So it's a really great podcast in general. Anything that you like, they did the McDonald's hot coffee case. They did, you can see here, like Ed and Lorraine Warren, who's like the Conjuring and Annabelle in those horror movies. And they've done like on Tanya Harding and Monica Lewinsky and all these women of the 90s who were so horrifically maligned for like existing and the media knowing who they were. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I couldn't possibly recommend it more. And if you know me from Brothers and Booze and you have some really
it was.
Okay.
That's what I was trying. Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you. It was the first really highly publicized case that was in our living rooms. So we all had like this emotional.
Court TV existed first.
Sure.
The Menendez brothers were arrested first. The first Michael Jackson cases came out first.
Mm-hmm.
But because of how weird those cases were, that actually affected the way that the police and the prosecutors dealt with the OJ case. And they didn't have any idea how big the OJ case would get because they didn't realize what a big deal OJ was to so many people. Like in many ways, OJ was a bigger deal to more people than Michael Jackson was, if you can believe that.
Yes,
but
sure. Absolutely.
Yes.
I can absolutely agree.
Yes, I can. Oh, Lord.
There's no way. I mean, I totally agree with it. It was a different caliber of person, and it was a trial that was on NBC. You didn't need to turn to court TV,
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by first highly publicized, because you're right, the Menendez brothers, the Five. I mean, there were so many other cases that happened right before that. But
there's also a weird connection between the Menendez brothers and O.J. Simpson that I just learned about today. So like. But that's a blow your mind fact for another time. Listen to the podcast; they cover it.
Exactly.
All right. All right, Jeff.
I have a great segue actually, because from that particular podcast, which I love, by the way. So you and I really need to like connect offline because I want to hear some of the other secrets that you listen to and have like shaped who you are. Because I like it, and I would love to get more of that in my life. But when it comes to being wrong about the past, there's a really, really, really amazing show I have to plug that I've been listening to. And it's been a while since I sort of wait with bated breath for the next episode to come around. And it's a show called Throughline. It's put on by NPR. And you'll see the two hosts are Rund. I'm not going to try to pronounce it. It's Rund and Ramtin. Mm-hmm. I don't want to mispronounce their names and do any kind of disservice, but I will tell you that what they do, this particular last episode I was almost crying, honestly. Wow. So what they do is they take really complicated topics through history and they try to bring people together through a multiverse lens towards what actually was happening. And there is a episode called War of the Worlds, and it was probably the first time as an adult that I sat down and really began to understand from a non-American point of view the Arab-Israeli conflict, and all sorts of things, and the way in which they position history and points of view is absolutely incredible. And the most recent actually dives into the 1619 project, as you can see actually on the screen. I've now listened to it, don't tell anybody, twice, because sometimes, to me, repetition is the mother of all learning. I'm floored by this most recent episode. I feel like I say that about each of their episodes, truth be told, because the detail, the research that goes into it, the thoughtfulness that goes into it, the lenses that are applied to the context that they're speaking of, it's just incredible. So if anybody is interested in learning history and wants to not be fed one narrative, whether that narrative is right or wrong, because we all know that, to find the truth, it's somewhere in between everybody's story, right? We all bring our own lens as to who robbed the store, but somewhere between all the witnesses, you find the truth. I appreciate the perspective because it's from a non-white lens, first of all, and second of all, it is completely and utterly, I want to say, unbiased, and that's a very brazen thing to say because I don't believe that they bring any bias. They have a lot of research go into it. It's incredible. So that's the
Excellent.
first thing, and I think that really ties well with your last, right? What things that I thought I
Yeah.
knew growing up, I didn't. Like it was very clear I didn't know it. So yeah, go binge that show. The second is a more recent one. It's a Michael Hobbs podcast called Maintenance Phase, um, and it aligns very well with what I'm doing for work right now. But what I love about Maintenance Phase is, and as you see, is being fat bad for you because I absolutely loved that episode. Oh my God, I love that episode. First of all, if y'all want to learn about nutrition, health, and wellness from like a real person's lens, just give this podcast a listen. If you have a problem with f-bombs and all sorts of nasty curse words, please don't listen to it. Like you're not going to get a filter. And if you've
Excellent.
ever, so a little bit of context for who, for what I am, or why, for me personally, I grew up very fat. Blatantly, I'm just going to use the words that I'm most comfortable with, so I don't mean to offend, but I've grown to love who I am and what I am. And being a professional in the health and wellness space, I've always been criticized for being fat, whether I was thin fat, fat, whatever it is they wanted to call it, always had to do something with fat. And what this show does is actually look at what we call the obesity epidemic and how the medical community framed it and became such an incredible toxic environment for people who are actually larger bodied with zero health issues, and really vilified us. And personally, what I'm doing in life right now, I got clawed out of the woodworks to join a really amazing startup company in the health and wellness space called FlexMD. And easy, Jeff.
These big bones.
Hey, listen, at my largest, truth be told, I was 463 pounds, and the impetus for change for me came at the heels of my very first day at college. I had to walk to the building where classes were. I had a full knife kit. I was going into culinary nutrition. I had a full knife kit. I had 3 or 4 textbooks with me. I got to the building. There's no goddamn elevator. And I had to climb 3 flights of stairs. I'd never done anything like that in my life, and I had all this crap on me. I was late. I split my pants, and the professor was incredible. Little did I expect that to be a very momentous moment or a formative moment, but Adam Sachs was the dietitian and professor of the class, and really set me on a journey that has been lifelong. But either way, what I love about that show is they crack open so much of what I'd like to call the fat industry and the way in which we've been vilified. And it's just amazing because when you look at all the research that's actually out there, so much of it is geared on how much you weigh, and very little of it really focuses on what actually gets you there and what the problems are. And for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm doing good with that aspect of my life in a way that's going to affect so many people in a very positive way. So yeah, listen to that podcast, and if anybody's interested, I had given you one other link to pull up. You can pull up, the CEO and founder of the company I'm working for, Dr. Tom Rafai, is an amazing individual to work alongside. As a doctor, not only do they bring their own personal experience in weight management, they basically crafted their entire medical life around lifestyle management. As a survivor of binge eating disorder, actually lost their youngest brother to binge eating disorder. So as somebody who has been there and is empathetic to the cause, but also grounded in science. As you know, Greg, I
Amazing.
am very much a scientist. And yeah, there's my guy. There's Dr. Tom. He's amazing. If you want real advice that's going to actually give you life to your years and add years to your life, follow him. Because this is everything that I've been teaching people for years. Right? I've never had an issue with my blood pressure, my cholesterol, but I've always been fat. So I was always called lazy. I was called a sloth. You're going to have diabetes when you get older. My fasting blood sugars were always around 90, 91. I never had metabolic issues the way my doctor said I was going to, but I was always vilified. You're fat. You're fat. You're going to have to pay more for this because you're fat. And then there's the social and cultural stuff with it. People look at you differently. And anyway, so Maintenance Phase. Check it out. It's amazing. It will blow open so much of the industry because we've been trained to think one way about all sorts of stuff. So if you want to listen to it, here, pull that back up. Can you scroll down in there by chance? I'll tell you a great episode to start with.
No, that's just a screenshot.
Oh, it's a screenshot. Never mind.
Right. But
well,
you
I
can
would just reiterate though. I don't know if everyone caught that, but one of the hosts of Maintenance Phase is also one of the hosts of the podcast I recommended.
Yeah.
He is amazing, and
He's
Jeffrey
amazing.
and I totally bonded over this.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
And has a great writing. Like if you go into Michael Hobbs's history of writing, what I like about his history is that he always brings facts to the table, and he does a really great job of separating out emotion. And I know I bring a lot of emotion and angst because as the 17-year-old that was told they're too fat at 463 pounds, yeah, I'm angry about that because that's all doctors ever told me. But at the end of the day, I'm still science driven. And that's what I like about Michael, and that he's always going to bring facts, both sides of the table, or all sides. I really shouldn't say that, right? And and it's great to listen to. And he's queer like I am, so I could listen to him all day long.
He's so fun.
Oh,
also,
I love listening to him.
Like you said, like so fact-based, and there's a real empathy.
Yes.
For all sides, and like when an individual enters, it's not like, well, this person's bad. It's like I just really love his approach to everything. So I just wanted to co-sign on that in case anybody didn't realize that we were both talking about the same person.
Same kind of shows. Same person, just two different shows. He's amazing.
And his lady co-hosts on both shows are also equally as amazing.
Oh my God.
So.
Yes, absolutely. And Aubrey's amazing. Aubrey is like, I have a little girl crush. Oh, don't tell my husband. I have such a girl crush on her. It's empowering. You've gotta as somebody that came from like, when I don't want to start crying because I just had to rehash this story, but at one of my very first jobs, I remember being told, "Oh, Jeffrey, we love supporting you. You're great as the director here. You're great, but you can't be the face of our company. You're too fat." And it's like, are you kidding me? Did you really just say that? Really? That's what you said? Okay. Got it. So like we're cool for our brains, but not our image, because it conveys something. And you got to go very deep into the the history of that. It started a long time ago. I think I shared with you, Greg, a piece I wrote on the history of dieting, and it goes back to the 1800s, y'all. Like our first diet, and you know what that diet was? A low carb diet. Anyway, that's another topic for another day.
I think like go back to I'm gonna like tie it all together because Michael Hobbs just said at a certain point in the OJ series, they're talking about some of the emotional abuse that Nicole
out loud
Brown
to me
went through
to my face.
That she was being criticized by OJ for gaining weight while pregnant. And he was talking about, it doesn't really matter, like people, like this culture, it's especially for women, but I think it's for everybody. I don't think it's specific to women, but it's like highlighted. You can be any weight. You can be as gorgeous as Nicole Brown or like a supermodel or whatever. And like someone will be able to make you feel fat because we have all of this weird moral crap around being fat. And like you're talking about something very different from what I experienced, but I'm thinking about, I was in the Marine Corps, I'm 5'2", and I have a lot of TNA. That's always been my life. And when I was in the Marine Corps, I worked out like a Marine and I was skinny, but I didn't make weight by Marine Corps standards because I was so short. And I actually had someone say to my face when I weighed like 125 pounds and was wearing like a size 2, maybe you just need to eat fewer hamburgers.
Yeah. Could you imagine?
And it's like, what the fuck?
Like, really? That's the advice you're going to tell somebody? Like, you just crush somebody by saying that.
Yeah. It's like, it's not that the weight standards are weird for women. It's that I'm eating too many hamburgers. Like, and so we have this weird, like, I think it affects everybody to some extent. And obviously it affects fat people to a larger extent. And like, I've been on both sides of that. And I'm
it's
like,
on every side. It's on every side.
Like I've been skinny and I've been fat and I've been average, which I am now. And I know it's different. Like I've experienced it. So I know it's different, but it's just not like nobody's immune from it. Somebody's going to find a way to like make your weight an issue no matter
exactly.
what.
And this is a fabulous point that we got to talk about. Lauren, you're the shit for this. You're the fucking shit. Oh my God, this is like
Yes.
the Adele 30 headlines. Like they can't talk about this woman without talking about her weight. They
Wait,
can't.
They said
They
she
can
said, yeah.
not.
Look at
Every article. It's not about how fabulous her voice is, the things that she's overcome. Besides her weight, if you know anything about Adele, there's shit going on with her. Sorry, I don't mean to diminish it, but there's stuff going on with this lady that has nothing to do with her weight that she's overcome. She's got a great story, and they just can't help themselves.
And somebody
horrible.
had the fucking unmitigated gall to ask her, how does it feel to have everybody talking about your body? And she's like, everyone was talking about my body before. Like, what do you think is different? My body is different, but what people are like, they've been talking
It's
about
terrible.
it this entire time. Like,
we are about transformation culture, and unfortunately, there's this narrative about people and weight loss is that, when you lose your weight, you're going to reclaim your life, right? As though you're a different person, and it's like, no, no,
you're
Right.
not a different person depending on what size you are, how much you weigh. You're not a different person depending on whether you've had sex or not. You're not a different
exactly
person depending on whether
All
you're
these-
married or not. Like, you're just you.
You're just you.
Yeah.
Can we just stop defining ourselves based on these stupid things?
Right. I just want one article that doesn't mention her weight. Just one.
It won't happen.
One.
Good luck.
Like,
Good luck.
And I'm not even
going to gain a pound or lose a pound in the next 6 weeks, and everyone's going to wig out. One pound, I guarantee it. 1 pound. Right. That's all it'll take.
And so then I don't know much about Adele. It's not really my thing, if that makes sense. She's a pop star, but her music just doesn't connect with me. I like female. I like Billie Eilish. I like females. Don't get me female music. Don't get me wrong. But Adele just doesn't.
You don't like all female artists because you don't like Adele.
Well, right.
You
but
have
Adele,
to like everything or nothing.
I'm gonna listen to her album. Right. I'm gonna listen to her album though because people are ranting and raving about it. But
it's a great album. The new one's really great.
But what I was what all these articles, that jumped off to me, that what Lauren said down there, that completely jumped off of me when I'm reading these articles about her she did something with Oprah and all this and all this. So I got drawn into who her boyfriend is now, and he is a big agent. He's the agent of LeBron James, and why I got drawn into him is because they they made a law. He is a sports agent, but he doesn't have a college degree. So they made a law that you have to have a college degree to be a sports agent. And then I got into that rabbit hole, which is racist bullshit, basically. And I went to that rat hole from Adele. But so then I started reading all these Adele articles. Yeah, I started reading all these Adele articles, and every single one mentioned her weight. Every single one.
Greg, you just made me so mad. Not at you, but like in the world. So,
right.
It's terrible.
I don't have a college degree.
Everyone.
That's my dirty little secret. I don't have a college degree. I am a professional editor and a professional writer. I get paid for my knowledge of the English language regularly and for over a decade, but I don't have a college degree. And that's the thing I'm not supposed to tell anybody. I went to a college that costs so much. It cost more than Pepperdine that year. It cost more than Harvard. Like, it was so expensive. I came from a poor family. I fucking dropped out. Like, no kidding, right? And I never finished because who can afford that? I was paying student loans for like the rest of my life for 1 year of college.
For 1 year.
And so now I'm going back.
But we have that in common.
I'm going back to school and I have to take Comp 101. I have been being paid to edit and write for over a decade. I gotta take Comp 101. I'm just like trying to like reframe
there is
it
this
like it's an easy A. It's an easy A, but like I didn't do it in school, so it doesn't count.
And when you get to a certain level, it seems like there's this college discrimination. And you didn't go to college, so you are, your knowledge is less worth than Jeffrey's. No, bitch. No.
No,
it doesn't work that way.
It does not work that way.
Let me tell you, I have had to edit a number of academics.
Right, of course.
And they're not all great writers. Let me just lay that out. A lot of academics are really terrible writers because they're writing a very specific way for a very specific audience, and they don't have any idea how to communicate these ideas in a way that people who are not that specific audience can even begin to give a shit about, let alone understand. And
it clearly doesn't take a degree to do that. Just saying.
Maybe my 18 years of writing and
and experience and all that might have a little to do with that, as opposed to right. And I'm not here putting anybody's degree down. I'm just saying,
absolutely not.
You can clearly get it done though. You can clearly get it done
for both. There doesn't the either or culture has to stop.
Right.
Like college isn't for everybody. College is for many reasons, and it's not for us to determine someone's worth as to whether or not they went to college or not. Like,
just like the fact that we see college getting more and more out of reach for anybody but the most.
For so many people, it's out of reach.
Yeah.
I mean,
either or culture.
It's a bad idea to take on $100,000 worth of debt when you're 18.
It's terrible.
It's a bad idea to let an 18-year-old make that decision.
Right.
It's terrible without let alone make the decision, them to be able to understand. My 18-year-old self got saddled with a whole bunch of debt because that's what I had to do. I got to college. I didn't know the debt that I was getting into. Nobody helped me understand a financial plan to help me get out of it. I had to claw for almost 16 years after graduating to pay off that last loan. And it's like, something, had I had this almost 40-year-old brain beforehand, I'd been like, I'm not going to go to college. Like, I want to start working and saving money and getting experience. But there's this, how do I say it without sounding like, I don't know, like a jackass. There's a sort of protocol that everybody is raised with, that, you grow up, you go to school, you go to college, you graduate, you get married, you get a job and have a family. And there's this like protocol, and it's like, we're not living in the 1950s anymore.
Well, I had to get married twice before I figured it out, so maybe going to college twice will follow the same.
They say that you're lazy because you couldn't buy a house, and honestly, if it weren't for my husband and I and our financial power together, right, combined with my debt, and he got very lucky, he didn't have college debt, we were able to buy our first home and start that process of saving and building equity in a home. And now here we are 15 years later, we sold our first home, and bought another home. But it's like, it took a lot of work and planning, and it's like, no one equips you for that. And
there's a binary too, right? Where it's like, either you support everyone going to college or you're anti-intellectual, or you say people need other opportunities, or you are classist. And it's like, there's like, the world is a lot more fucked up than that. I'm sorry. Like, not everybody is meant to be a carpenter or an academic. Like,
there it is, either or culture.
Either or culture. Right, Renee. Yes. Either or.
Like, I look at someone like my mother, who didn't graduate from college, who maybe took one college class, if anything. And like, there are people who won't talk to her on an educated level because she can't have an intelligent conversation. And I'm like, then you haven't spoken to her.
My in-laws. Sorry, what?
Right? Like, you haven't spoken to her. Like, have you even given her the opportunity to speak on an issue? Have you asked her what her opinion is? Just because she didn't, crack open the New York Times every Sunday goddamn morning doesn't make somebody less educated.
But also, not going to college does not directly correlate with whether or not you read the New York Times.
Correct.
Like that, it's
like this disconnect. Yeah. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't stand it. I just can't stand it, because some of the most amazing people that have mentored me didn't have MBAs.
Right.
I never judge them one way or the other. Like, I don't really care. Are you going to help me? Are you going to help teach me with your experience? Because I'll tell you, I would rather study under somebody who's been in a field for 20, 30 years, learning practically hands-on everything and teaching themselves sometimes, because they're going to have ins and outs that college ain't going to teach you.
Right.
Yep. And on that note, y'all, we're going to wrap soon, unless y'all want to go another hour.
I don't think I can, because I haven't eaten dinner yet, and I've had 2 beers, and like I said, I'm 5'2", so like.
Jeffrey's like, yo, man, let's go.
Listen,
I would, but
so
I'm empty. But hey.
I want to leave us with 2 things. One thing I want y'all to when we wrap up here, say what's your favorite thing about Thanksgiving? What What do you, a positive note? What do you like? What do you look forward to? Is there anything to look forward to? It's a stupid ass, I don't know, racist, imperialistic holiday.
Yeah.
So I understand.
We had this talk last year. We talked about this last year.
I understand when people approach it a little bit cautious, and then lately too, we've been having, since I would say, and I don't blame it on him, but the Trump era brought in this brought in this fighting between families at holidays. I mean, it was always there, don't get me wrong, but I think like that element really got a lot worse. Seeing in my timelines and all that, and I'm hoping again, I'm hoping that is subsiding. I don't know, but I'm just saying there's a lot of baggage around Thanksgiving. So I would like to, that used to didn't be there from, maybe I was just a dumb, naive kid. I just didn't feel all this baggage around this holiday because I love this holiday. So give us one reason why you like Thanksgiving on the way out. And also, if there's anything that we forgot to get to today because we were all over the place.
We went all over the
place. And
we really were.
Right. I mean, we were everywhere. It was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But you might have wanted to say something that you didn't get to say that you wanted to. So we'll start with Renee. A good, or we can, hey, if you want to see the Jeffrey, that's great. But okay. Something good about Thanksgiving and then something we missed.
Something good about Thanksgiving, I think, is like, if you can focus on the gratitude, right? Like, my nuclear family is very secular and we try to be very intersectionalist. So sometimes that means making a holiday what it means to you. So like Christmas isn't about Jesus to us and Thanksgiving isn't about pilgrims to us. And we just have to kind of make our own thing. But focusing on gratitude, there's so much research now on, overcoming trauma, overcoming addiction, like you name a really difficult mental health struggle that you have going on, and like gratitude is going to help you with it. So if you can focus on the gratitude for the things that you have and the people in your life that you really love, like that's a really positive thing. And having a yearly reminder that maybe you ought to do that every once in a while is like probably good for everybody. I'll say that. And then something we missed, man, I don't know, like, is there anything that we didn't cover on this show today? I have no idea.
You don't want to know what's going through my head, so I'm just not going to go there. I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's a lot we didn't get. And there's some things that we talked about in the pre-show meeting we didn't get to, but I just feel like, man, we went around the world in 180 minutes. So
right, I didn't expect the show to go anywhere. I mean, we were talking about vanilla. Like,
what we missed is this like beautiful genesis of the storied friendship that Jeffrey and I are going to have after this.
I really cannot wait.
We're gonna have y'all back, and we can.
Yeah.
Anytime. Well,
Jeffrey, something great about Thanksgiving and something we didn't talk about.
Yeah, no, I mean, as far as things we didn't talk about, I mean, there's so much we didn't talk about, and that's okay, because that leaves for conversations to be had for later on. As far as Thanksgiving, I do want to echo what Renee said, and it's super important because for folks like us that have had this sort of like reckoning of history and acceptance of what the history of this holiday is, I think it's important that we accept it, right? But not honor it. Right, we're not honoring the story of Christopher Columbus here and the Pilgrims landing and the Mayflower and all the fantasies that we're taught about and the first Thanksgiving meal, because we know that that's not the truth. But what I love about it is what we've been able to create about it. And that to me is the most important thing, right? Being queer, we create our families sometimes because we're rejected by our own. In this case, this holiday has become a holiday for family and family gathering and family time. It's like where we get to unplug. We don't have like football tradition. Well, some of my family does, but over the last few years, right, we unplug, no TVs, nothing. We're cooking, we're together, and we're just spending time, right? We're talking about the things that we're grateful for. My kids are at an age now where it's not regurgitating the answers that we want to hear. Like last year when they were 3, it's like, what are you thankful for? We're thankful for Abba and Daddy. And it's like, well, they actually have different opinions this year. So like they're going through those motions in preschool right now and making signs. So it's super cute that they come home and it's like you can hear the tangible things that they're thankful for. So I'm looking forward to seeing the holiday through their lens this year. which is a unique parenting perspective because it's always been through the traditions I want to establish or my husband wants to bring in, and now it's like they get to be involved. So that's the stuff I
You
get to
wait,
focus on.
Jeffrey, because the older they get, the more they're going to throw all your traditions for a loop and all your
For a loop.
expectations.
I can't wait.
But it's amazing. It's fun. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that in a negative way. It's like,
not.
fun.
No, I listen. There are so many things we could all say are negative about parenting because at the end of the day, there's no goddamn manual, right? It was 2 days ago. My daughter had 104.7 fever, and it's like, right? It's like, what do you do, right? Nobody has the answers, but I love watching the way in which those little bodies and minds craft and create space, and then we continue to evolve and grow with them. And it's sort of the most commensalistic relationship that you get to experience, and it's so deep and personal, and it's like it's amazing. I've never ever expected parenting to be fulfilling that way. So it's anyway, that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing it through my kids' lens this year because they have such great personalities. And
Greg, how old are your kids? Because like I've been on the show so many times and I realized I never asked.
15 and 17.
Yep. I was like, you got late teens.
So Jeffrey's like toddler into preschool.
Yeah.
I'm in preteen, and you're like in the thick of it.
Yeah, the thick of teens.
It's been interesting with the pandemic and all that, but I can't really say enough about how great they are. I really can't. I just can't.
You've always been like that. You're consistent.
Yeah, and it's not always been that way. You know, the lady and I we have 3 sons. We have 2 at home now, but one was her son from a previous marriage, and that boy was a knucklehead. We love him, but he was a knucklehead. He was tough cookie to bring up. So it hasn't always been this, I'm not this parent that's like, oh, it's all smooth sailing.
Because it's not.
It's not.
It
but it's been
great your kids are. It's hard.
Right. It's been smooth sailing with these 2. Our oldest boy was a knucklehead, and he'd be the first one to tell you, but he's married with kids now. It seems like his life is on a great path. So we are happy about that. And, maybe some of, the stuff that me and his mother did for him, ultimately we didn't see it when he was here, but it ultimately sunk in. So Jeffrey's right about the Thanksgiving. So Jeffrey, we're going to let you go. We'll see you in post-production if you stick around.
I'm going to stick around for you.
We love it, man. We love you. We love
Thank
it.
You.
And we'll have you. We got to talk to you. We'll talk to y'all in the spring to see what y'all have cooked up together, because I feel some synergy there.
I'm looking forward to exploring that relationship.
So Jeffrey, we'll see you soon. Thank you, buddy. Have a great Thanksgiving and holiday.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving and holidays to everybody.
Yes, and enjoy it, buddy. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Excellent. So yes, I just want to thank you for co-hosting. You are one of the people that we love around here, so that's why we have you co-hosting. We're gonna have you back as soon as you will want to come back. Probably a little bit after the holidays. We'll go through the holidays though. But I don't know. Do you want to talk about the beers that you had? We have a little. Do I have hold on, I have a little All right, it's time for review.
Whew. I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know how to go through the tasting notes on a beer.
Yeah,
I can do smelling notes on perfume. I learned how to do that because I love indie perfumes. But like I said, this one's really smooth, and it's a very unique flavor between the dark ale and the hop. And I feel like there's like a coffee thing happening at the end, and in the middle there you hit the hops, and it's just really drinkable.
Are you a coffee person? I
love coffee. To me, this is comparable to a coffee stout, but much lighter. That's what I would say in my non-beer connoisseur language. The flavors are there, but the lightness is also there.
Renee is awesome. And one of the things that people around me know is that I love hearing people talk about beer, especially if you don't know about it. Because y'all insights are just as important as ours, and y'all come out with different, we're like, oh well, the head and the attenuation, and we get all
I don't know what that means.
Right. I barely do. Okay. But I don't want to hear that. I want to hear this beer tastes like I licked a tire. I've heard that, and I love that, because and I'm like, how do you know what a tire tastes like? But also though, I love when people can, describe it like it's just like food, So
Yeah.
your
So this
reviews
one,
are just as good as anybody's.
again, is the Trois Pistoles, which again, I feel like I'm saying that in two different languages. So like, if you speak better French than I am, I'm sorry. But Unibrow is Unibrew, Unibrow, I don't know.
Unibrow.
They're an amazing brewery, and they're like maybe a little more common than most craft beers, I guess. But like Fendemont is one of my favorite beers of all time, and this is the first time I've had this, which is their Belgian style dark ale. I didn't really know how to describe this. It's got like some of the spiciness that Fendemont has, although not as strong on spice. And there's like a sweetness to it that's a little bit different than what I'm used to in Belgian beers, but it is delicious. And it is also really good after sitting here through the first beer and getting warm. And I find that really pleasing, because sometimes you get a beer that doesn't
age.
It just can't cut it at room temperature. This beer cuts it at room temperature.
Right. Yeah, and that high ABV and that Belgianist does that to you. That's fantastic. So I had
both these beers are a little higher ABV than I'm used to, which is again why I'm like,
whoa. So I had a Mexican lager, light, crisp. It's a beer that tastes like beer. It was pretty dang good. And then I had this lager. It was lager night for me. Dark Helmet, which was a darker beer, but it was just as light and crisp as the one that wasn't. And I didn't get to. I have been drinking less since my health scare episode, so I've only been having two. I did pack a third one though. I wanted to get to it, and I didn't. So maybe next week I'll get to Delirium Red, which everybody knows, right? And I wanted to get to it, but look, it's a tall one. So I was like, I don't know. And then we were just talking, and when we have good guests and y'all just get into nails and all that stuff, I lose my mind, and I can't even like remember that I wanted to have that deep dive in nails. Was amazing. You saw Doug blushing. You saw me just gasping at like it was just so fascinating.
Maybe next time I come on, I'll explain how it is the high femme women do that.
Okay, and it would be, but it'd be great, but without Jeffrey, I don't know if it's gonna be the same. Like y'all took this.
Bring it back. I don't know.
Yes, but y'all took that segment and just ran with it. And the reason I know Doug and I know Doug loved it, and the reason I know we both love it is because it's something that we would never talk about. It's something we can't talk about. It's something that it's just the variety of the people that come on. We love that because again, they teach us stuff. Not that Doug and I are gonna go get nails done, but at
Maybe
least we can.
You don't know.
We might, right? But we can at least relate to the people who do and understand all that symmetry and things that are going on. So Renee, I just wanted to thank you again for coming on and
it's always a pleasure.
And look at this, I am not alone in thinking that you did a fantastic job. Renee was an old school podcaster, man, so she's a professional at this. So this isn't her first rodeo, y'all. So I mean, she might be a natural at it. I'm not saying you're not, but your experience, we're not gonna. Right. Well, we're not. Well, we're not going to discredit your experience. How about that? We ain't gonna make that mistake. Yep, Renee was great. I
always feel the love when I come on here, just like from you and Doug and from your like loyal listeners. And yeah, it's my favorite thing. Like, you ask me, oh, I know it's last night. I'm like, please, like I have plans on a Friday night.
Right. I never. My plans on a Friday night are with Doug, so that's what I have. So, So, all right, Renee, it's been fantastic. Thank you for again one last time. I thanked you like 600 times. It feels like now, but 601 ain't gonna hurt. So, Thank you, Renee.
Thank you for having me.
And I should have my thing, but I'm way off today.